Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. It is 2023, it is a Thursday night, and that can mean only one thing. It is Cup racing action here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I am, as ever, Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you. Joining me up here in the booth, I have Mark Hansen. Mark, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good to be here, and good to see what type of paints and everything these boys come up for Memorial Day.
Absolutely. I've spotted a couple of really nice looking paint jobs out there, a couple of the Star Spangled Banners floating around as well. So we'll keep an eye out for those. And we also have Mr. Matty Hunter on the cams and helping me when he needs to. Matt, how you going, mate?
Yeah, going good. Thank you. Yep, it'll be interesting to have a few different paints. It's pretty cool to see.
Absolutely. And we love it when people change their paints, Mark, don't we? Because it just makes our job so much easier.
Oh, yeah, of course. I just better mute that in the background, otherwise people will start complaining about the feedback through my mic, and definitely don't want that tonight.
No, we'll try and avoid that one. But we do apologise if we call out the wrong car quickly tonight, just as we glance there quickly through the orders. So we're just finishing up the pre-race warm-up here for tonight's round. Of course, it's a slightly longer race. We're going to do 200 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, it's Memorial weekend, so doing that one. So it should be interesting here. We are got a few drivers that secured themselves in the playoffs as well now. With Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson, Toby Stent, Jai Schultz, and Daniel Hedersheim. Jai Schultz being the latest one to be added to that list after a cracking victory recently. So it's been it's slowly starting to fill up for the playoffs as we are sort of getting into that mid-season area. We've still got a long way to go, but we're slowly cracking towards halfway.
Yeah, it's always good to see who can make it in the first half of the season, and then they can just ease up that little bit and really concentrate on their driving and getting some good points. Although the chase points do reset it come chase time.
Absolutely. Securing yourself in that playoff is an all-important role. We just saw temperatures there, 27-degree air temperature, 32 degrees track temperature, and that's going to be something to watch out for here because those front tyres do tend to get warm here at Charlotte. We'll talk through that a little bit more in the future. Up on the front row, it's Neil Pearson taking pole position ahead of Toby Stent. Row number 2 sees Ruben Phelps lining up next to Ryan Jones, Daniel Hedershade, and Jason Martin on the third row of the grid. Nice to see Jason out in the Cup. Fourth row has Jamie Curtis with Barry Neal. Row number 5 sees Adam Malone next to Stevie Dubb. Dave Douglas and Foster make up the 6th row tonight. Luke Trahere and Norman Clark make up our 7th row. Row number 8 sees Brenton Henderson next to Brad Fenley. On the 9th row, it's Matty Ray next to Shane Bowen. Phil Otto and Darren McKenzie make up our 10th row. Andy Barber and Andrew Dyson down in 11th. 12th row sees Urquio next to Nigel Patton. Riley Curtis next to Tristan Koch for our 13th row. Joshua Carroll-Walden next to Tom Pritchard makes up the 14th row. And finally, row number 15 has Christopher Tomlin next to Kobe Jordan. So a stellar lineup tonight. 30 cars out there for this race. And Charlotte Motor Speedway, it's a fun track. It can be very, very quick, but you've got to be careful of those front tyres. Don't want to burn them up too much.
The coming out of 4 is the one where you really got to watch. There's a nice big magnet there on the outside of that turn. I don't know who's put it into the cement wall, but I know it catches me just about every time I'm here.
Yeah, it's so easy just to miss the entrance of turn number 3 and scrub it up high. It tends to get a little bit tricky if you just miss that section, and you tend to run up the track all the way through 3 and 4 and then find yourself in the wall. Everybody's starting to line up now. Pace car is getting ready to peel in here. It is race number 14 of the ANZCAR Cup season for 2023 of 36 here on Performance E Streaming. We're glad you can join us here tonight, and we are hoping you can enjoy this fantastic race here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Pace car is about to pull in. The field are going to get ready to pull away for the first green lap. So I'm going to shut up and let you enjoy these V8s roar away here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And all 30 cars make it across the line in an orderly fashion here for the start of the race. Meanwhile, up the front, there's a bit of action going on as Neil Pearson's having to defend against Toby Stent. Toby Stent having a solid run off the high line, getting a good early bit of a charge on Pearson, trying to put the pressure on him already. Goes down to the inside, seeing what he can do there. Can't quite make it work here unless Pearson scrubs up a little bit. Pearson should have a little bit better run off the corner on that high line, which he does, onto the quad oval and gets across the line again in the lead. Pearson has been on some serious form recently, along with his DPR teammates. They've been very good in the first pit stop, Mark, where they've been able to make those couple of little changes.
Yeah, they seem to be right on these changes and really hit the nails straight away. So it's going to be interesting tonight to see what they can do. At the moment, he's just looking for his teammate, Andrew Dyson. He's down in 17th position, but I wouldn't expect him to be down there for very long.
He's not had the best qualifying results recently, but the race pace tends to be there. So we'll keep an eye on the 41 as it runs through the race. The car that's making his way up through the field is the 53 at the moment of Edward Foster, up 4 positions so far. Moving quite quickly up here at the front. He's just sitting ahead of Jamie Nankervis. Just behind Stevie Dubb here, trying to get the run off the corner here. Up on the high side it goes, the 53 on the 98. Will he be able to make the pass? Not quite, but should get a little bit of a run here on the exit and makes that move down in front of Stevie Dubb. Next up is Jason Martin.
Yeah, Jason Martin's no slouch around here though, so Ed's going to have a tough job there in getting past him. And just in front of him, he's got that Toyota, the number 22 Toyota of Barry Neal. So there's 2 guys there. They ain't going to be easy to pass. But as I say that, Foster is definitely making a move on the 21, on Martin.
Yeah, speaking of no slouches around Charlotte, Foster is one of those drivers that is definitely no slouch. We saw it at the trucks recently. Got some good pace on this track.
All right, Matt, you heard it. He's jinxed him, not me tonight.
Copy.
I just said he's got good pace, did not say anything about positions.
I'm just going to get in before you can deny it now. But up front, we've now got Pearson out in half a second over Toby, Carl. So Neil's continuing this great run that he's had the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've seen Neil have some not so good qualifying results, and then just move down that little bit, and then have to work his way up the field. But when he's been up the front, he's been one of those cars that's been hard to catch. He's got some really good pace in this Cup car. This new generation of Cup car really seems to suit Neil Pearson, and he's having some great runs. A little bit further back, Foster making a move on Ryan Jones, now getting down the inside of the number 11. 53 moving up now, up 7 positions since the start. Barry Neal charging ahead as well in front of Foster. Barry Neal moving up the pack quite quickly and gaining those positions too. And we've seen Barry Neal tends to be one of those drivers that's just very good on the tyres. A little bit further back, we've got 2 wide action. Ruben Phelps, Darren McKenzie really battling hard at the moment. Close stuff down here in the mid-pack. As you see, Ruben Phelps just a little bit high. That's giving McKenzie the chance with Shane Bowen there, trying to get down the inside. Quite a tight pack here towards the back of the field, and there's some really big racing going on down here.
Well, Dave Douglas having a few technical issues there, blinking in and out into the Never realm. So let's hope that doesn't continue for him.
Yeah, Dave's needing a little bit of luck with the connectivity gods recently. He's had some bad misfortune with that. Hopefully, though, we will see things starting to go a bit better for him and having some good races in the near future where he doesn't have to worry too much about connectivity issues because he is one of those drivers that tends to run very well. He has got Darren McKenzie just behind him now as Andrew Dyson is there battling away with McKenzie. Those two cars moving their way up the field quite quickly as well. 7 positions for McKenzie, 8 positions for Dyson.
Yeah, Dyson's definitely having a great run. He's trying to move forward very quickly. Give him, I'd say, another 4 or 5 laps and we'll see him into the top 10, I'd say.
As Joshua Carroll Walden is trying to make a pass with Ruben Phelps, Shane Bowen. There's a fair old battle going on down here for what's this, 15th, 16th, 17th odd position, and these cars are getting very close with each other. This race is getting a little bit more heated down here, you've got to say. They are really pushing hard, but they're giving each other room as well.
And just behind that, Matt, Carl, I should say, you can see Matty Raymond, who's now got the job done on Phil Otto in the one car. So they were side by side there too for a lap or two.
Yeah, some good racing going on through the pack. One thing it can kind of catch you out here at Charlotte though. Sometimes if you start racing a bit too hard, you can put a little bit of pressure on those tyres and just get them a little bit hot and then have to just ease them off a tiny bit for the run. You really want to just sort of loop the car down on that low line, let it just run its way through rather than really trying to push it and scrubbing those tyres. And if you're sort of caught up on the high line for a few laps, that can sometimes affect you and stop it running quite so well. Although if you can get the high line working, you can absolutely make it pay off, but you have to watch out for turn 4 because that all comes in very, very quickly. You can see Matty Ray making that high line work at the moment.
Sorry, Carl, I'll just going back. I've just seen Kobe Jordan disappear from the timing. Just going to have a look and see what happened.
Hopefully that's not connectivity issues. We'll keep a bit of an eye on that one. Battle going on for P4 and 5 at the moment between Barry Neal and Foster. I glanced down a couple of laps ago and saw that those positions had changed around a couple of times, and Daniel Hederscheid working his way up there now as well. So a fairly good little battle going on at the moment for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Neil Pearson pulling out a 1.7 second lead at the front. He's getting away quite nicely, but is he just pushing a little bit too much on the tyres too early? And we see him dropping back a little bit in the next few laps.
Yeah, Carl, unfortunately for Kobe, it's been a connection issue. The Aztecs have come and taken him away.
Oh, that is a huge shame. We never like to see drivers dropping out from connection issues, but it's the closest thing you get in virtual motorsport to random mechanical failures of the car. So it's a bit like your engine blowing or your exhaust cracking or something like that, where you just have to pull the car in, get some repairs, or sometimes just have to retire the car. And it's never a fun thing to happen, but as is with motorsport, sometimes the luck is not with you. Luke Trout and Dave Douglas battling on screen at the moment. This is for P12 and 13. Good little fight going on down there as well. Some really good battles going on tonight. We're seeing some great racing, and it's working quite well. You're sort of, people are managing to run a sort of multi-group at the moment. They're able to run slightly higher lines here as well. They're able to run the midline and the low line tonight, and make them both work fairly okay by the looks of things.
I've just seen Kobe reconnect, so let's hope he's got that connection issue sorted and he can get back out on the track.
Fingers crossed things come back for him, but he's going to be down about 4 or 5 laps here, so it's going to be needing a few things to happen in this race, although we do have a long way to go. 181 laps remaining at the moment in this race, so well, anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does, as we see the battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th there. Darren McKenzie making a move now on Jamie Nan Curvis. getting down the inside, trying to battle his way up as well. Some really good fights going on at the moment. There's one between Nan Curvis and Mackenzie. Exemplary on the screen, some really good side-by-side action, and these cars are running quite well side-by-side. Been watching.
Sorry, mate. Ed Foster is just trying to put a move on Barry Neal. They're side-by-side down the back straight right at the moment as we're talking.
Okay, we're watching the 53 here of Foster, and he's got a good run underneath Barry Neal here, and he'll just straighten out the wheel a little bit, not worry too much. He's got a nice gap to slide that car up and slot it up ahead of Barry Neal, but don't be surprised if you see that orange car fighting back in the near future. I think Foster did get past Barry Neal earlier in the race, and Neal managed to snatch the position back. I was watching a little bit further down the field. Shane Bowen and Matty Ray, they were side by side for about 4 or 5 laps. Now Shane Bowen side by side with Joshua Carroll Walden. So he's having some extremely hard laps out there at the moment, working extremely hard, having to do the side-by-side racing. Up on the high side, a little bit of contact there on the 35. Great reflexes from JCW not to lose it out of 4. Easy to have that car have a big accident there. Good job from Nigel Patton and Lachlan Oakrio as well, just letting the throttle breathe so there wasn't a bigger accident. But they've all kept that car moving in the right direction. A little bit of paint swapping here and there is not a bad thing in motorsport. Dave, little bit of a kiss on the bumper there as well from Patton. JCW just getting a little bit of a hurry up, and that's just cost him a little bit of speed as he's just going to drop it past behind Lachlan Oakrio. He's just going to pounce on that little moment and see if he can slot it up ahead. Patton is a wily driver, so he's going to keep that car there, see if he can hold that position. Not quite got the speed on that low line, it looks like, and Oakrio makes the move.
While you've been concentrating on that, Dave Douglas is actually now just picking up third places. So he got past Nan Curvis, Malone, and now he's really having a go at Mackenzie, Carl.
You read my mind, Mark. I was just about to say Dave Douglas is on a bit of a charge as well. I was keeping an eye on him while I was watching that battle. And yeah, Dave's been on a bit of a fly here. It's good to see Double D back in action and having a good run in the number 10, although hopefully you do not curse him through the internet gods by talking about him there.
Well, he just had a nice big blink as you were talking about him. So we might leave that one alone for a little while and see if he can come back to the land of the sim.
Yeah, fingers crossed it was just a little hiccup there, and it's going to run smoothly now as Andrew Dyson is trying to make the move on Mackenzie, and you can see Ruben Phelps as well making a bit of a run on Nan Curvis there, just up behind Luke Traher. Really good racing we're seeing tonight. It's great to see drivers being able to use multiple grooves here tonight as well.
Yeah, for the first part of the race, it's normally a single lane race until the guys get up on the high line or mid to high line and bring those outside grooves in. But it's Phil Otto's just pulled down onto the apron, so don't know what's happened there. I've just seen him in the background pull down onto the apron.
Let's hope it's not some little gremlins hitting at Phil. I do know that he had a bit of an injury a while back, and he had to just park the car a couple of times just because he was struggling a little bit. Hopefully this is just another little gremlin. Hopefully he's all okay, but not fun to see Phil coming in because he was having a fairly good run up there. He was running fairly high up the grid, I think he was running fairly high up the order as well up until that point. But I think he might be pulling it in to retire it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've just gone back to have a look, and he hasn't touched the wall or anything. He's just pulled it down onto the infield. So unless he's had a malfunction with like his pedals or something, and he has disconnected by the look of things, mate.
Yeah, it looks like maybe some health gremlins creeping in, and they're never fun when you're battling away with a broken part of the body, Mark. I know you can attest with this one. It makes it much harder sometimes in a race when it starts to really hurt, and you can't always make it to the end, sadly, which is a very frustrating thing, especially when you got pace.
Yeah, it definitely is, mate. It's better to pull it aside and rest that injured limb up or body part, and come back out and next week and have another red hot go at it.
Here's Pierre Foster running up in P4 at the moment, coming along nicely. Good battle between Luke Traher and Adam Malone on track at the moment. Luke Traher making the pounce over Malone, moving himself up in very striking colours. Love that paint job. One of my favourite NASCAR style paint jobs, your SDP.
Yeah, it's definitely been around for a long time, hasn't it, that paint scheme?
It's one of those nice colour palettes that works very, very well. I think it reminds me of the old Golf livery as well, which you loved so much as well. Yeah. But really nice looking cars out there tonight. As I say, there's quite a few special liveries as well, which is great to see. One of which is Toby Stent. He's got a fantastic looking livery on that machine tonight. With a little message of thanks on the front to the Godfather himself, and he's catching up to Neil Pearson now as all the caution flag is out. Somebody's having a big wreck over
Stevie Williams. It's Stevie Williams.
We'll go back and look at the replay of that one as the mean green machine of Stevie Dub gets a little bit of help coming off of turn 4 as Jones just gets pulled up towards the wall. He swashes right up there, straight up into the back of Stevie Dub. Luckily, not much damage to the 98 there, and I'd say there wouldn't be too much damage to Ryan Jones either in the 11, so they're probably going to get away with that one relatively unscathed.
Just having a look at Ryan Jones's car at the moment. I can't see any physical damage on the front of that car, so that'll be nice for him. And when I find my mouse again, I'll have a quick look at Stevie Dub. And Stevie Dub does not look like he's got any damage there or any significant damage done on his car. So, as you said, Carl, they may have both been lucky there.
Yeah, got away relatively unscathed in a very fast part of the track, which could have been a very big accident as well. Great driving from everybody to avoid that one. Person that's going to be absolutely cursing that is going to be Toby Stent. He was closing the gap on Neil Pearson, and well, that chance has sort of gone away now. It looks like the Atari car of Stent's got some good long run pace at the moment, but I'm sure that will change as they come into pit lane. They can, of course, change tyre pressures and the bump of the car, and that can make a big difference to long-run pace.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think anyone has stayed out. I'll just double-check that.
No, everybody's come in pit lane.
So the poor old pace car's out there all by its lonesome.
Yeah, it's a bit of Billy No Mates at the moment. As I think Stevie Dub may have had a iRacing issue with his pit lane because he's come in and quickly stopped and then gone straight back off again. He's actually missed his pit box. That's what's happened. He's actually driven into the wrong pit box.
No.
So he's funny enough, he's actually come into Ryan Jones's pit box by mistake, and then just realised his mistake, and then had to go straight back out. So those two connected at the hip at the moment.
Well, that's not going to really hurt him because he's going to remain on the lead lap. That's one good thing. Well, he should anyway.
Yeah,
if he pulls down pit lane now.
He's going to drop to the back of this queue, of course, but he will be on the lead lap still. So we'll have all but one running cars on the lead lap. The one car that's out there that has got a lap back is going to be Kobe Jordan. He's now 9 laps down, so there's still a long way to go for Kobe Jordan after that technical issue. The internet gods not wanting to play ball with him tonight.
I'm just looking down the field and I've just noticed there's no Jai Schultz tonight.
No, there is not. So, unfortunately, no Jai Schultz tonight, and no Mako Dornak either. He had some kind of internet gremlin stopping him from actually joining the server tonight, unfortunately. So he could not quite get in and get racing. So a couple of cars that could not get in, which is not fun. It's never fun when internet plays a role in that one. But one car out there is Riley Curtis, currently sitting down in 22nd position in a very, very pretty car. Not biased here in the booth, of course.
I was going to say, it's a pretty good looking car.
Yeah, no bias in the booth, of course. The Performance e-streaming logos do not make us support somebody more or less. Of course, we're expecting Riley Curtis to finish about 20th tonight. There's no way he's going to win it.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
and I just noticed that one other car that's missing, and I do know that he doesn't really like the place, is the Golden Octopus car.
Yes,
Mr. Campbell.
Not got Brett out there tonight, and missing a couple of cars. I mean, look, Charlotte is a racetrack that I pretty much loathe, but for some reason I'm quick around here. So seems to be the way. Tracks I love, I'm very slow at. Tracks I dislike, I'm quick at. Yeah, it's a strange old track, Charlotte. It's one of those places that is a very tricky place to run. Of course, it's very quick. Just got to let the throttle breathe a tiny bit on the entry, and you've got to run that sort of low to mid line most of the race. Pretty much in the early stages, you've got to run that low line to make it work, and just got to be so careful on the wheels as well. It's so easy to burn up tyres here too, and that's what makes Charlotte one of those tricky race courses.
Yeah, I'm just wondering there that some of these guys would have made some changes in that stop, whether we'll see some guys running that high line right up against the fence.
Yeah, I'm sure a few drivers will have changed and tweaked it a little bit, seeing what they can do, make it a little bit more comfortable for themselves in the longer run. They had a fairly decent run of about 36 laps. We're expecting fuel to last about 55 laps tonight, so that should be about 55, 60 laps at the very most on fuel. So it should be a fairly decent long stint here. They've done 36 laps now. So we'll see how this next run goes off. Of course, they've got 6 sets of tyres for the night as well, so 5 sets to play with during the race. And we're about to go back to green flag racing here. It's going to be Neil Pearson leading us away for DPR. Coming up to the restart zone, gets on the power and gets a nice start there from Pearson. The low line is getting a fairly decent little run there. Daniel Hederscheid moving forwards quite quickly, almost jumping to Toby Sten. Doesn't quite make it forwards, and that's just slowed that high line a little bit. Foster now getting a better run on the exit of the corner ahead of Daniel Hederscheid, his teammate. 3 Latari cars right up there, and there's Jason Martin sitting just behind them in the purple Mitch Motorsport car. We've not seen too many of the Mitch entries in the 2023 Cup season, unfortunately. So always a pleasure to see one out there, especially at Jason Martin, because we know how quick and good he can be on a track like this. Not his favourite car. Meanwhile, up the front, Toby Stent is making a run on Neil Pearson. Looks like he's got a little bit more pace in this early stage. Pearson running up very high there. So I wonder if he's tweaked it to run better on the high line there, Mark. Look at the exit speed he's getting off there. A little bit of a rub between those 2 cars coming into 3 and 4. They make it through, but a little bit of rubbing in this early stage. I'm sure Toby will not be too impressed with that one, and will make it a little bit tighter for Neil Pearson here. So watch the fireworks start to launch here in the higher up regions, the battle for P1 and P2 in this race here at Charlotte.
Yeah, this is the normal time where we just see the guys start to fill each other out, and look at just doing that little bit of rubbing, and to let people know, hey, I'm here and I'm going to pressure you all the way to the end. And the second half, I would expect a little bit more rubbing, and then that last 20 laps, I would expect to see these 2 really go at each other.
I've got to say, though, if Pearson's able to run this high line, that will put less pressure on his tyres. That could be a key to saving some tyres later in this stint. This could be a very good opportunity for him in the longer run pace. Keep an eye on that 62 DPR car. We know they have been very, very good at the the semi-open setups, and they're running in some of the open setup leagues as well. So they've been doing a lot of practice in that area. Could be a real big opportunity for them. As
I was just going to say, has anyone checked their fuel tank to make sure they're not running that bigger fuel line? And because they can make those fuel line, that fuel in that car last us longer than anyone else I know.
Yeah, very good at learning and breathe, but that road racing experience really coming into show. But Toby Stent is now putting the pressure on the low line, side by side here up the front. Great battling going on. There's a few decent runs going on, but we're going to keep our eyes on the front. This is the battle for the leader of the race. It's Stent versus Pearson here, as they get so close to each other there. I thought that was going to be contact. I was watching that on my race monitor. They are really getting close with each other. These two are, well, they've been a little bit heated in the past. We know that they race hard with each other. And, well, once again, we're seeing that.
Yeah, you see Toby come down the track just that ever slight to close that inside run off for Pearson. And I mean to say, it's not technically blocking yet because he's still got a nice little gap there. So, and he can pick where he wants to run as again, he just comes down, takes that classic apex into that, right onto that corner.
Yeah, he's running very quick at the moment, and this is a really tight battle for the lead at the moment. A little bit single file all the way back to around about pretty much single file all the way through the field. There's been a couple of moves up and down the field. Keeping an eye on Ryan Jones in P7. He's just ahead of. He's just battling it out with Barry Neal at the moment. He's got Andrew Dyson right behind him. But this battle for the lead is really something.
Oh, Pearson's made the classic move underneath, so he's got the low line now. He's forced Toby up, and Toby just lets him go and slots back in behind him. Probably going to save a little bit more fuel if he sits behind Pearson. But Mr. Foster is there all by himself too, and Daniel Hedderscheid nearly second off the back of Foster at the moment.
But we've seen in the past, Mark, sometimes running off a little bit quick and battling right up the front can sometimes damage those tyres a little bit, and then we see those cars that have just taken a little bit longer to build up the temperature rather than building up the carcass temperature, they're building up the core temperature of the tyres. They tend to have better long run pace. Those drivers that really push at the start of the stint, get those carcasses of the tyre hot very quickly, tend to have them drop off a little bit in the long run. And that tends to be exacerbated when you're running very close, one in front of the other as well. So we'll see if that starts to make an effect later in the stint. As we are just seeing
the big movers tonight so far, Carl. Andrew Dyson started 22nd. He's now running in 8th. And JCW, Dr. Carol Warden, starting 27th, and he's up into 10th. So some good moves there being made through the field, through the race so far on the first 47 laps.
Yeah, we've seen some big moves being made. I mean, one of the things I just sort of noticed is there's a fairly big gap between JCW and Dave Douglas. It's almost like a different pack of cars racing at the moment. From about 11th down, these cars are just falling off a little bit, and I wonder if there's anything to do with a little bit of a tweak on the car setup there, a little bit of a tweak on the tyres or something like that. As Luke Traher has a big moment with Brenton Henderson. They keep the cars pointing in the right direction, but Henderson took a big hit in the wall, and they're still just checking up behind. Shane Bowen getting very close there as they're sort of 3 wide coming across the quad oval even. And they make it through. Riley Curtis right on the inside line there as they went 3 wide. 3 wide at Charlotte is always a moment where you need to take a deep breath.
I'm not even out there, and I was holding my breath.
So seeing the replay here. So watch the 43 on the high line, the green car, the 81 on the low line, and Adam Lane, I think that is as well. So coming into 3 and 4, this is where a little bit of contact is made. Big slide, big checkup and they all keep it pointing in right direction. Henderson takes a fairly big lick into the wall, but keeps it running. He's still got some pace in that car, luckily. Doesn't look to be too badly damaged, and it's fairly straight. And then you see the free wide action coming across the quad oval. That is scary, scary stuff there. Great driving by everybody to make it through.
That could have been a huge one, and if that had been an accident, it would have ended a lot of guys' nights.
Yeah, a lot of people would have had their night over and done with. We see Stevie Dubb there. He's working his way up the field. He's sitting there in 22nd position at the moment. We saw he had to start right at the back of the field, of course, after getting a little bit of contact, bringing out our first caution, and then having a little error in pit lane. But he's working his way back up through the field. And I just noticed as well from Phil Otto, unfortunately had to pull out the race because of some hip issues. So big shame there for Phil. Speedy recovery, mate. Hopefully they start to feel a little bit better soon. I know all about racing with pain and issues. It's not fun indeed. So fingers crossed you have a speedy recovery and get back to full strength soon. Ryan Jones and Jason Martin here battling side by side. Martin getting some pace in the car now. Working his way back up through the field. He's right behind Barry Neal. And he's really making the high line work. And trying to work his way through.
I've just been watching that, Carl, as you come to it. I think we're on the same wavelength tonight. Dyson's just been sitting there, just biding his time. He's letting these other two cars in front of him do all the hard work for him and making the holes. Although he hasn't been able to get underneath Barry Neal there just yet.
Now, it looks like Dyson's pretty comfortable on the lower lines. He's not really been venturing up too high recently, just waiting for people just to make that little mistake, and then he's jumping straight underneath them, pressing the advantage and making the pass. The thing that Dyson does most often. And he is doing a good job at the moment, but doing that's going to put a little bit less stress on those tyres and leave him a little bit better in the rest of this stint. Meanwhile, up the front of the field, we saw Pearson and Stent pulling up a bit of a gap. Well, that gap is closing to Foster now. Foster just 0.7 off the lead, and he's closing up to the back of Toby Stent at the moment. 53 working his way nicely through the field at the moment, and as I said, looks like he just had a little bit more pace in the longer runs, just slowly building up the tyre temperatures rather than going at it like a bull in a china shop. And now it's starting to pay off for him now in this long run.
Again tonight, Carl, we see the 83 car of Matthew Raymond. He started down in 17th, and he's now up into the top 15. So quarter race distance, and he's already worked his way into the top 15. So it'll be interesting to see if he can continue the run that he normally does and end up inside the top 10 by the end of the race.
Yeah, we know he tends to go slightly under the radar when he's having a good race, and you don't notice it until he's up inside the top 10, as Foster made it past Toby Stent up into P2 in the race. And this is a fairly good little battle between Mackenzie, Patton, Matty Ray and Urquio. So fairly fun little battle going on there. I was also keeping a bit of an eye on Luke Traher. He's dropping back a bit in the 43 after that big sideways moment. I wonder if he's just got a little bit too much heat in the tyres and it's taking a long time for them to cool down. We know in these cars, especially with the low profile bigger tyres, they can sometimes take a while to cool down, and it just sort of, it's never fun when you spin up those tyres and get the heat in there, because it's almost like it doesn't dissipate for a fairly long time.
Yes, and as we talk, we can see the shadows getting longer and longer across the track. So it won't be long before the track starts to cool down a little bit. So that'll help these guys with tyre wear a little.
It will indeed, as Nigel Patton just makes a nice move on Darren McKenzie. This battle's been going on for a couple of laps, and Patton's trying to press the advantage. Another driver that's having a stellar night. He's up 12 positions so far, Patton. in the Pinnacle Esports entry and working his way nicely through the pack. He's battling it out hard with Darren McKenzie, one of the dark horses in the Cup Championship, but he's been having a stellar job of just consistency this year, and he's been really having some consistent runs and would very much like to get a Cup win under his belt, I'm sure. But he's just been there or thereabouts, one of those drivers you can never discount, and this battle is still going on side by side here for about 3 or so laps, these two, as they're just catching up to the back of Dave Douglas, who has sort of not been having he's been having a fairly good race, but he's sort of got back into 11th position where he started, so it's always that thing of you glance down to where you started and you go, oh, I've not made any positions in this race. It feels like I've passed about 40 people.
Yeah, the longer races feel like that sometimes.
Do indeed, as Mackenzie looks to just about defended that spot, and Patton's just having to slide back behind him now. Andrew Dyson's moved up ahead of Ruben Phelps and Ryan Jones, so he's starting to move up slowly but surely, and he's trying to catch up to Jason Martin as the battle goes back in Patton and Mackenzie. And Nigel Patton just does a beautiful job there, getting straight past Mackenzie and putting himself back up into P12. It's a little bit further up the field. The battle for P2 has just swapped around Foster and Stent. So Stent has just got back in front of Foster, and they are closing the gap to the 62 of Pearson. Pearson not running away with it as much as he did in that first run. I wonder if he's just discovered he was using up a little bit too much tyre and is taking it a little bit easier here, or maybe he went slightly the wrong direction with the tyre pressure and it's just not working how he wanted it to.
And yeah, maybe I think they may have made a change and just not 100% to their liking. And you'll probably find that when the next time they come down for service, you may make another fine tweak after this run.
Yeah, they'll be chatting about that one in the team radio and just going, look, you know, I think this has not worked out as well for me. What have you guys done? And of course, they've got Dyson out there as well, Stevie Dub. You know, 3 very experienced drivers in the Cup cars in the Oval Series, and well, the least experienced of those is Andrew Dyson, which is, you know, a staggering thing to say because we know how quick he is. But they are all very, very savvy with the adjustments they need to do. As Toby Stent's looking to put the pressure on Neil Pearson here, running down the inside line. Pearson gets so close to that safer barrier out of 3 and 4. Really just keeps his foot planted, but maybe just lost a millisecond on the exit as he just had to let it breathe a tiny bit to get that car turned as they come through again. Pearson's much happier on that high line, it seems, but not quite as fast. But you can see on the exit of the corners, Pearson's got the run. Stent has got the run on the centre line of the corners. Great battle going on here for the lead of the race between the 189 and the 62.
Just back looking at Norman Clark, that car has found some pace because he's just got past Stevie Dubb the lap before, and he's actually driving away from him now. So Norman has actually found some pace in that car in this second stint.
We'll go back and have a little bit of a look at that once this battle for the lead is shaken up completely, because Toby Stent and Neil Pearson were battling away hard there. Ooh. And this has let Foster really catch up. What's gone from a 2-way battle has become a 3-way battle for the lead, as absolutely nothing was covering Pearson and Stent as they crossed the line. 2 thousandths of a second between 200ths of a second between Stent and Pearson as they crossed the line that time, but Stent has managed to get up in the lead. Watch Pearson and see if he's going to take that slightly higher line. No, he's dropping to the lower line now, so he's keeping it sort of on the mid-track, right? Runs it up much higher on the exit, trying to get a better run off the corner. It's not quite working for him at the moment. And then a little bit further back, there's a lot of battling going on between Jason Martin, Daniel Hedershide, and Andrew Dyson as well. And Ruben Phelps, actually.
Yeah, Ruben Phelps has joined into this battle. I was just coming back to check that as you picked up on it. Oh, we're going to see a caution, are we?
It's not going to fly the caution, but Daniel Hedershide, he got very lucky there. Quite a bit of damage on the front front left of that Atari car as he takes a big bite into the wall. Ruben Phelps got very lucky. His car pointed in the right direction. They both were lucky not to have a bigger accident there, but that is going to be a painful one for Daniel Hederscheid. That's quite a lot of damage on the left front, and I'm sure that's going to cost him a fair bit of time. So there we go. See, and it looks like Daniel might have just got the all clear, and unfortunately there was a car on the inside line, and that has made a big accident between those two cars. And luckily they're both still running, but I don't think Hederscheid's going to have the pace that he did earlier on.
No, definitely not. And just trying to get a good shot of Ruben to see if he's creased that right front guard at all.
He's looking fairly clean from what I can see, Mark, so he's looking somewhat intact. But he got very lucky there, but that's going to sort of damage the heat on the tyres. Barry Neal here making a bit of run on Hederscheid. The fight is going on between two Kiwis now, and now battling hard for position. You've got to say Barry Neal's probably got a little bit more pace now when he's with that car and not having as much damage on the left front. Daniel Hederscheid's going to have to take a couple of laps just to work out where the pace has gone in that thing, just work out where to drive it, where to lift off, just what's happening with that left front suspension. Meanwhile, Joshua Carroll Walden is working up nicely as well. He's ahead of Dave Douglas. He's catching up to these cars. He's bringing Dave Douglas, Nigel Patton, Darren McKenzie, Lachlan Urquio and Matty Raymond with him at the moment. So some good runs going on. So some people finding some really good pace in these latter stages. And obviously their car's working. There's all contact between Urquio and McKenzie there on the exit off the corner. And a bit of damage on both those cars, but it looks like they may have gotten away fairly unscathed with that one.
Yeah, definitely. Mate, I've just been able to get a closer look at Daniel Hederscheid's car. That left front guard is pushed back into not quite, just missing the left front tyre, but it's definitely got some heavy damage and some heavy damage down the complete left side.
Not fun at all. We've got a car in pit lane in Tom Pritchard. And I wonder if that's just a scheduled stop or if he's just coming in for something else.
This battle's back on between Urquio and McKenzie. Back side by side, and now Matty Ray's going to join in. Oh, another little touch there by the look of it. Just move McKenzie up track a little bit.
Really close stuff, and McKenzie looks like he might be coming in pit lane.
Oh, he's touched the wall.
Big hit on the wall there, and that might be the end of Darren McKenzie's night. As we've got a battle for P2 now between Foster and Pearson, we will try and go back to that McKenzie incident. Once we see this battle shake out, Foster makes pretty easy pickings there of the 62. It looks like the Ferrari cars are a little bit more switched on in this stage of the race.
It's a long race, so we're into the second quarter. Yeah, it seems like whatever the Atari guys have done has been able to cover off the DPR guys. Because if you look further back, Dyson is now up in the 5th, but Stevie Dubb is still buried down in 22nd.
Yeah, of course. Steve Dubb, though, he had that moment, of course, he lost a lot of positions, so...
And we have lost Darren McKenzie out of the race, mate. He's taken it behind the wall.
It was an odd incident there for McKenzie. It looks like maybe rig failure or something like that, because it just sort of steered straight down. Meanwhile, battle is settled down up the front, but yeah, a bit of an odd one. There was a little bit of contact between him and Urquio, and then all of a sudden that car just steered down and then stopped working properly, and that looks to me like some kind of mechanical failure to the rig or something like that. So unfortunate there for Darren McKenzie. as we see in the battle between Oquio and Carol Walden now, and Maddie Ray and Nigel Patton as well. This four-way battle for P11 is very much on. These cars getting very close to each other, and they're getting closer and closer to Dave Douglas as well. So this could be a battle for 10th position in this race. As we plug along lap 80 of 200, 120 remaining here tonight for the ANZCAR race here at the Charlotte Oval. It's race number 14 of 36 here on Performance Heat Streaming.
So I'm just going to ask, are either of you or Matt game enough to pick a winner yet?
I'm not that brave.
Nor me.
One of the remaining 26 cars.
You can't sit on the fence like that.
Unfortunately, news from Kobe Jordan that he had a computer failure, so some kind of computer issue taking him out of the race, unfortunately. We've lost Kobe Jordan, Phil Otto, Tom Pritchard, Darren McKenzie from this race. 26 cars still remaining. Christopher Tomlin currently the final car racing in the Blues entry, as Ryan Jones is coming in pit lane.
So it looks like he may be doing a Joy Schultz and trying an alternate strategy.
Coming in a little bit earlier, chucking some fresh boots on the car and seeing what goes here for the number 11. Meanwhile, it was a battle for the leaders. It's getting quite close between Foster and Stent, but this will be good information for us. Ryan Jones did about 46 laps, I think 47 laps, I should say, in that run, as Foster moves up into the lead of the race. As the two Natari cars are racing each other here. But people are going to have to keep a bit of an eye on that one with Ryan Jones, because he's come in a little bit earlier than some people may have thought. And that could really help his pace a little bit. And once the pit stops settle through, he could make a bit of a jump here on the old undercut. About 1.5 seconds is the time loss on fresh tyres to old tyres at the moment. So they are losing a bit of pace, which is to be expected here at Charlotte. It's a bit of a tyre eater. But of course, once you've been running those tyres for a few laps, they do start to plateau.
Christopher Tomlin, he's going under the radar again tonight. He's just out there circulating, getting more and more experience in that Toyota. And I've got to say, I do love that bluey paintwork.
He's just battling to stay on the lead lap at the moment. He's just a couple of car lengths ahead of the leader at the moment, and won't be too long before we see Foster looking to make a pounce. Ryan Jones currently a lap down after taking that pit stop, but I'm sure his pace will come back quite quickly. Riley Curtis coming in pit lane as well. You see 093, the RCD, the Riley Curtis design entry car there, coming in and doing his tyre stop, getting some fresh boots on there, a lot more fuel in there as well. So this is getting close to where we're expecting to see everybody coming in as well. Fuel stops are going to be within the next 4 or so laps where people are going to start to need to come down pit lane. So it won't be long until we start seeing these green flag stops. And what happens in green flag pit stops, Mark? We tend to see caution flags appearing.
Yes, and we see penalties handed out for guys not getting on the pit road or not slowing down quick enough. And as we say every week, Carl, that these things do not have speed control or retarders in them. It's all done by the foot.
Absolutely, and it is very easy to make that mistake and just find yourself a couple of miles per hour over the speed limit and find yourself with a penalty. And depending on whereabouts you are in pit lane as well, it can sometimes throw you out as be slightly higher up the pit lane and you sort of have a cleaner run off to the exit. You've got to really have a lot of self-restraint not to put your foot down because you can easily speed across the line. As we see Jason Martin closing the gap on Neil Pearson here. Good to see Martin back in a Cup car. It's been a while since we've seen Jason in the Cup, but he has always got pace. It's not his favourite car, but I think Charlotte's one of his favourite tracks, so nice to see him back out here racing.
It's
As-
we've had a tip from Trev as well that he's tipping the 21 for the win as well.
I would not put money against that one.
No, I'd take it each way.
Brad Fenley, Tristan Koch, both in pit lane as well. The Aussie Beer Motorsport and Tristan Koch as well, coming into pit lane and getting their stops done. The Blister car and the Aussie Beer car coming in. So they're going to see what they can do in this stint. Currently, the only car from the lead pack is Ryan Jones coming in. He's still off the lead lap. He's trying to close in as quick as he can, just in case that caution flag does fly. He's currently getting past Lachlan Creo there, who's sitting down in 9th position. So still a long way to go to catch up to the leaders to get that lap back. But it won't be long, I imagine, until we see all the cars having to come into pit lane to get some fuel, and also do a couple of quick tweaks to the car, seeing what they can do to make it go a little bit quicker or a little bit slower, as is often the case. I do apologise about the frogs in my throat. All of a sudden, I've got an absolutely terrible tickly cough happening. So I apologise about that one.
I'm just struggling to stay awake tonight, and not because of the boredom or anything with the race. It's just the personal issues I've had in the last 4 days.
Absolutely. And, well, I mean, well-deserved rest for you after this one, mate. It's you very much earned it from all the busy work you've had to do in the past couple of days. Barry Neal coming in pit lane now. He's decided it's time to pull it down the lane, get some fresh boots and some fuel in the tank. We're about 58 laps into this stint now, so with those caution laps, they'll add a couple of little bit of extra length into a stint, of course, but it shouldn't be too long until we see the cars needing to come in for a top-up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Pearson will run this car dry, or he's going to have. I think he's going to have to come down when Foster and Stent do.
Yeah, he's going to be having to think about that option, of course, and it could be worth pulling it in just after everybody else comes in, so you don't have to go through a lot of cars passing you, just trying to get their laps back, as we're seeing Andy Barber in that lovely whiskey sponsored car coming in as Neil Pearson's pinning.
I would have thought he may, we don't know, he may have made the call, but I'm surprised that DB Dub or Andrew Dyson hasn't come down with him.
No, well, the draft is not really worth that much in fuel saving, and they're very spread out as well, I guess. So there's a few options there as Martin and Stent both come in this time round, leaving Foster, Dyson, Phelps, Hederscheid out there at the moment. Hederscheid having a good recovery after that big hit he took on the left front. It's going to be useful for him to come into pit lane now to get an idea of how much damage he needs to repair on that car. I imagine we're going to see Foster coming in the lane very, very shortly, as he does now indeed. And always tricky. Charlotte's one of those tracks that's very tricky to get in the pit lane. It's a very short entry, very easy to speed. You've only got until the cone, until you have to be at about 72 kilometers per hour, keeping that pace all the way down pit lane, hitting your marks perfectly in the box. Make sure you're not too far back, not too far forwards. You want to be just in the middle, that Goldilocks zone for that pit stop. Left side up, right side up, and left side up now, actually. Wrong way around there. And away he goes. And the other thing as well, of course, you're stopping on concrete when you're getting into your pit box, which is a slightly different surface, can make it slightly slippery. Now on the exit, you've got to be so careful. Ruben Phelps leading the race now, as he's just ahead of Andrew Dyson. Just trying to keep an eye on Foster and where he comes out in regards to Neil Pearson. And Foster has indeed come out with a fairly decent lead over Pearson. So that is good news for him. Ryan Jones has made a fairly decent leap up the order now and moved himself into the effective race leading position.
I'm just wondering if Dyson's going to end up with a penalty, because we've seen him come on the pit lane there and lock up after the cone. So I'm just wondering if he was going a little bit too quick.
We'll see if he gets away with that one. Looks like he has indeed. So just got away with that one. Sometimes though, you do have that little lock up once you just get past those cones, because you're slowing down.
Oh,
So you see Nigel Patton doing exactly the same thing, and I don't think he was as lucky. He's running quite hot through the lane. I reckon that Patton has indeed got himself a penalty for that one. So Nigel Patton's going to be serving a penalty. That's a big shame, because he's had a really good run in this race. That's going to be a painful one indeed, as we watch a replay here of Patton coming a bit too hot onto pit lane and locks up the front tyres and just does not get it slowed down, and knows he's got the penalty and just goes, well, it's all right, I'm going to have to serve it now. So that's a really painful thing to have in a green flag stint. So, new leader of the race, it is the 11 of Ryan Jones. He's got a 5-second lead over Toby Stent. That's how much a 15-odd lap difference on fresh tyres makes. He was able to make a huge amount of headway in those laps and build up a fairly nice gap over the rest of the pack to put himself out in front with 100 laps to go. We're 100 laps into this race. We are at halfway distance. Who is going to clinch this one? We're just going to have to make another stop in this race, and well, who's going to clinch this one, Mark?
that's a hard one. I'd like to say Mr. Jones, but yeah, I still thinking maybe Jason Martin being the dark horse tonight.
Yeah, Jason Martin is a man I've never bet against on an oval. He is very, very good. And look, he could well have it. He's not too far off the rest of the drivers. He's about 4 seconds off Toby Stent at the moment. So he's got a fairly nice gap there. He's on some fairly fresh tyres. He's sitting good to go for this race. And we'll see how this one plays out.
And just behind Ryan Jones, you see Stephen Williams. He is currently a lap down, but he's on a lot fresher set of tyres, so let's hope he can get back onto the lead lap, which I would say he probably will in the next 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah, he's about half a second quicker than Ryan Jones at the moment, so he's got a lot more pace on those fresher boots, and the gap will close relatively quickly there. This is the price of taking the undercut, of course, is you have to then drive on those old tyres. Toby Stent's closing the gap fairly quickly as well. It's down to 2.5 seconds now between himself and Ryan Jones. What Ryan Jones would sorely love to see now is a caution flag. If the caution flag flies, he's going to be sitting very pretty indeed.
And Stevie Williams just touched the fence as he goes past Ryan Jones through the oval.
At turn 4 again, Mark, you switched on the magnets, and that's what happens.
Yep.
But it looks like he's got relatively unscathed, just a bit of a scrape on the car. Because that thing's moving at some decent pace still, but you've got to be careful of those taps on the wall, because they build up. You don't want to do too many of them, because you never know which is going to be the unlucky one that can break a suspension arm, break a tracking arm, and can ruin your race.
Ryan Jones isn't giving up any speed at all. He's definitely still up there over the, sitting around the 290 kilometre.
Yeah, but the fresh tyres are making a big difference. Last time round, Ryan Jones 31.2, Toby Stent at 30.3. So almost a second a lap quicker at the moment, those fresh tyres, and you're going to see the difference on that pace very shortly, because Toby Stent is closing that gap very quickly. Meanwhile, Neil Pearson's got a little bit more switched on in this stint, as he's right on the back of Foster, who's closing in the gap on Stent and Jones. So we've got a few battles to watch out for in this stage of the race. And I'm going to say it won't be much of a... So instead, just sending it down to the inside, and Ryan Jones just having to lift off a little bit there to avoid a moment. As he goes flying through there, and 10% retakes the lead. Foster and Pearson are going to come quickly on the heels of Jones now with their fresher boots. But still a long way in this race to go, of course, and Ryan's made up a fair few positions in this strategy. And if we see a caution, well, everybody else, I imagine, is going to be coming down the lane, so he'll be sitting in a fairly good spot.
Again, we've seen some really good action, close action racing right throughout the field. And we say it every week, but we really do mean it. It's very hard for us to decide where to look because of the action that we're seeing right up and down this field.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful problem to have, but it is a problem. And we do apologise to anybody that sort of watches the broadcast and goes, I didn't show my car much. We've got so much action on the track sometimes, it's tricky to jump back to have a quick look. Foster and Pearson both sailing past Ryan Jones now and taking advantage of those tyres. Meanwhile, Neil Pearson's right on the gearbox of Foster, putting the pressure on at the moment. He can read every little bit of the back of that Atari car. See every bit of lattering there as he is right on the rear spoiler of Foster. Close action here. This is the battle for P2 at the moment. Foster on slightly fresher tyres by about 2 laps over Pearson. But Pearson looks to have a little bit more pace in this early stage of the stint. As he runs up high, he's got a good run on the high line here, and that should be a better exit on the corner. It's going to be a drag race down the back straight here. Foster and Pearson. Pearson getting the run on the high line, and that gives him the opportunity to run off there and get past Foster. Neil Pearson back up into P2. And, well, has he tweaked that car to his liking now? And will it work in the long run? We saw previously that both Foster and Stent were a little bit slower in the early pace, but once the long run kicked in, they had the speed. A little bit further back, Martin and Dyson battling it out on track. Jason Martin just keeping ahead of the 41 of Andrew Dyson, and these two getting ready for a little bit of action.
I'd say it's probably been nearly 2 years since we've seen those two battle it out in a cup car.
Yeah, it's been some time. As I say, it's this new generation of cup car is definitely not Martin's favourite, but he's still got pace in it. It may not be his favourite car, but it does not mean he's slow in it.
No, definitely not. And I've learnt with these guys, if they say they don't really like something, they tend to come out and prove us all wrong and prove themselves wrong. They tend to end up with a good result.
Yep, it's not uncommon for them to sort of go, yeah, I just bought the track about 5 minutes before the race started, and yeah, I just won it from nowhere. You know, I'd never seen it before. Just looking a little bit further back, Ruben Phelps and Daniel Hederscheid having a good race with each other as well. Hederscheid looks like he may have just had a quick bit of a 100-mile-per-hour tape slapped over the left front, and it's working to his liking at the moment as he's got some good pace. He's sitting right underneath the back of the mobile braking mechanical SRM of Ruben Phelps at the moment, putting the pressure on that Atari car.
Tell you what, that 100-mile-hour tape is great stuff.
Oh, where would motorsport be without it, mate? It's I have some great stories from back in the day. with the Indy cars coming back, which had more tape on them than the carbon fibre. It's scary stuff when you see some of the bodge jobs. Jason Martin now getting a run on Ryan Jones. Down the inside he goes, and those fresh tyres are starting to pay off. As you see, Ryan Jones just falling down the pack a little bit here. Through they go. So now it's going to be a bit of a backdating the race, of course. You've got to start thinking about the finish of the race, and you've got to try and think if you can make it to the end on that final stop. I think pretty much everybody should be okay. Other than maybe Ryan Jones might be in the unenviable position of just being maybe a lap or two shy of making it to the end on one more stop.
I was going to say he's probably going to be about 4 laps shy. Just doing some quick calculations. I think it's going to be about 4 laps.
Thought I heard some gerbils screaming in pain in the background, and that explains it.
That's it. I had to take my shoes off.
But the battle for P2 is back on as well as Foster and Pearson are getting back into the fight with each other. As now Foster's coming back at Neil Pearson in this slightly latter stage of this stint. This is exactly what we saw last time. It seems that Pearson's got an absolute rocket ship on the short run, but Foster, once it gets to around about lap 20, lap 25, lap 30, has a bit more pace over Pearson and is able to make it work. And we're seeing that happen once again here. So some good fighting going on. A little bit of a move a bit further back as well as the man that likes to start towards the back, Mr. Sheen himself, Matty Ray, in the SRM car is moving forwards. But we'll keep an eye on this battle for P2 because I reckon that's going to be where the juicy action's happening. Foster looking to make a run, but Pearson absolutely positioning that car beautifully to stop Foster getting a run underneath him or over the top. He is making that the widest Chevy in the world. So Foster's going to try and get a bit of a run off the corner here. He takes a slightly more diamond approach to the corner, gets a little bit better run off the exit of turn 4, tries to run it underneath Neil Pearson across the quad oval, can't quite get the nose underneath him here. So he's going to run up slightly higher in turns 1 and 2 here, getting a much better apex exit out of turn number 2. He's going to try and get the run once again. Not quite close enough to make the move at the moment, but this fight is, well, it is on very much so. Once again, we come across the quad oval, and this time Foster's got up on the high side by side. They go. Foster's going to lose a little bit of time through the corner, but he might be able to get a better run off the corner here. Watch Pearson run up high. He's going to move it up there to try and block Foster's runoff. Foster's going to go down the inside here into 3 and 4. Gets a beautiful run here and should be able to get this one done. Pearson, we know, has had some good pace off the high line, but Foster's positioned that car to run up nicely, position himself up in front of the 62 and move himself up another spot. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, we saw Andrew Dyson making a move on Jason Martin in some similar style. So now Andrew Dyson now up into P4, Jason Martin down in P5. As the field is spreading out a little bit in this, as the green flag stops have happened, as we often see with green flag stops going on throughout the race, it does split up the field a little bit. Quite a lot of drivers lose a little bit of time coming in pit lane in the green flag stops, and you can lose upwards of about 5 seconds in a green flag stop quite easily by just not hitting the pit entry as hard as you need to. And that's one of the things that Andrew Dyson is so very good at, is those green flag stops. He tends to be one of the quicker drivers through the actual lane, but at the moment, everybody has done a great job up at the front. Neil Pearson, currently one of the fastest drivers through pit lane, at 37.1 compared to a 37.4 of everybody else. So really close stuff. Everybody is absolutely on it at the moment with those pit stops.
Yeah, very quick through pit lane, and that's one thing that can make a difference here, is getting on and off the pit lane. It's very much similar in tyres and fuel wise, but where you make your time up is getting on and off pit lane.
Absolutely, as Heddershot and Phelps are still battling along, still having their little run, but it's still Phelps ahead of Heddershot. I'm going to say Heddershot's pace has dropped off that little bit after that left front got hit. He's not quite had the same pace as he did at the start of the race, and just very frustrating when you get those little bits of damage on the car and you just have that little bit of a pace drop off.
Although in saying that, he's definitely wanting to give Ruben a bit of a hey, I'm still here, I'm not going anywhere.
No, some good racing still there. There's, saying he's lost a little bit of pace, but it's not much, and it's not enough for Ruben Phelps to run away with it. Heddershot is right on the back of him constantly, very much battling away here still. As you see, Heddershot trying to get the run on the high line now. as they come onto the quarter oval, seeing if he can make the pass as they're catching up to Dyson and Martin as well. Phelps on the inside line still, getting a good run, but not enough because Daniel Hendershide makes the move up into P6.
Yeah, definitely, and we can now start to see the lights take effect on this racetrack. So it won't be long before we're completely in darkness up above, and the lights will really take some effect.
That is it. This is where we hope everybody's paid their electric bill, and the lights turn on, which they are doing, thankfully.
If not, can everyone please go to the car and turn the headlights on?
That's all right. The stickers will work on these, I'm sure.
I just don't want to see a repeat of one race we had where we had to end up calling off because guys were just driving by the dash lights.
Yeah, it's always interesting in these cars when the lights go off and you're driving around praying and hoping, and the only light you can see on track is that of the pace car. Makes for some interesting stuff.
Does that Dyson just rub the wall lightly there as he come past that back stretch cam?
I reckon he was as close as you possibly can be to the wall. Didn't see any actual marks, but he was absolutely right next to the wall. So really going for it there.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm glad that these things don't have right-hand mirrors.
Well, they wouldn't have them for long, would they?
No, half a lap at most.
It's kind of interesting with the real world equivalents. They've actually, some of them have got the in-car little cameras now, the little onboard video sort of mirror.
Yeah,
on the left-hand side.
I've seen that at the All Stars race there last week, or Monday morning at North Wilkesboro. I've not seen that before, and I'm just wondering how long before iRacing adapts that into their cockpit view.
Exactly. I mean, it's an interesting little camera. It leans more to the to my ethos that these things are just really bad GT3 cars. But it's a fantastic little bit of technology that is coming forwards in motorsport. I know the Corvette started using them at Le Mans a fair few years ago now, actually, but they were one of the early adapters of using a rear view camera rather than a mirror, because obviously they don't have much real estate for the rear view mirror. So it makes a lot of sense when you're running a mid-engine car to have that, and these things don't have the best view range around them in the first place. So it's a good idea to have those things inserted in the car, and helps you just get a bit of an idea what's going on around you, and hopefully means there's a slightly less chance of an accident.
Yeah, look, I used to run one of those NASCAR seats when I actually raced in real life, and there's not a lot of head movement in those things. Once you get in there and get your helmet on and your harness device, you've got very little head movement. You're snug as a bug in a rug there. So anything that they can bring in to help see around the car, in my opinion, is a great thing.
Yeah, it's not like the old days of NASCAR where you could just lean over onto the dashboard, pick up your packet of cigarettes and light them up in the cautions. You don't get much movement in these modern ones.
No, you definitely don't.
Just thinking.
Then, I was just going to say, and then in the things that I used to run, you get even less movement because your legs are strapped in and your arms are strapped to your belts, and all good stuff.
Gotta love race cars that are effectively just bondage. Just looking through the field at the moment, we've got 26 cars still running. Chris Tomlin, the final of those runners, 26 laps down at the moment. He's trying to chase down Tristan Koch, currently sitting in 25th spot. Sitting ahead of them, we have Nigel Patton. After getting that penalty in pit lane, that cost him a huge amount of time. Dropped him down to be the last car on the 1 lap down marker. He's trying to chase down Brad Fenley at the moment. in the Aussie Beer Motorsport car, having a solid run out there in 23rd position, just cruising along, just keeping his nose clean. He's currently sitting behind Andy Barber in that very, very pretty American whiskey car. The Creekwater car, just really slick the paint job on that one in 22nd at the moment. Stevie Dub currently sitting in 21st spot. In the 98 SRM car, we saw him bringing out the first and so far only caution in the race after getting a little tag and flying across the quad oval. He's currently chasing down and trying to get past Shane Bowen in the 308 Cobalt Racing entry. Racing well, he's currently defending his 20th spot from Stevie Dub. Just up ahead of him is Riley Curtis, sitting in 19th position at the moment. Trying to just chugging along nicely. He's just fallen down a lap, as you see. Evan Foster just in front of him at the moment. So he's trying to keep himself up there in a relatively good spot, just in case that caution flies. Adam Lyons up next in 17th spot. 18th spot. As he's just getting passed by Foster now in the Southern Stars car and getting a fairly nice, easy run at the moment and keeping himself out of trouble. Brenton Henderson is next for SRM, currently sitting in 17th position. Luckily, the damage on his car doesn't seem to be affecting him too much, but there's a fairly big crinkle on the left front of the Sasquatch car after he took a little bit of a whack. He's currently trying to chase down Norman Clark, who is the last driver on the lead lap. Brenton Henderson, first car, a lap down at the moment. Norman Clark chugging along at P16. Fairly consistent pace in that car. It's been setting some decent lap times and currently on target to finish within the top 15.
Sorry, we just got Pearson getting held up by Stevie Dub and the 308 car. They were they were too wide and Pearson had nowhere to go, and he had to force that third lane. And I do think maybe Stevie Dub may have helped the 308 up track a little bit, and as we can see there, Stevie Dub is into the wall with a couple of little taps.
Yeah, he's running that high line, and all of a sudden those marbles start clipping onto the tyres, and he's just washed up high there. As we see in the racing going on, this is a battle for P20 at the moment between Stevie Dub and Shane Bowen. And I've got to say, Stevie Dub looks to have a little bit more pace at the moment. Bowen is fighting it hard, but just not quite able to keep it at this part of the race with 60 laps remaining here tonight. Yeah,
definitely not the race he would want. I think he's hurt those tyres a little bit. But I was going to just come back to that car. It's a very plain paint scheme, but an impressive paint scheme too.
Ryan Jones coming into pit lane. He is pitting on the 60 lap mark of that run, which is, he's got 60 laps remaining. He's going to have to just do a little bit of fuel saving to get it to the line, I think. But he should be able to just about get there, as long as there's no green-white checkers. So, as he makes it in the pit box, looked like he might have just skidded forward a little bit, but he does make it into pit lane. As Ryan Jones is one of the first cars to make his final stop.
Now, what Jones would really like is to get out, get a couple of laps under, and just depending on if he comes out too far down, he has dropped down to 21st, and that puts about 5 cars in front of him. So he'd like to get past these other cars in front of him as quick as he can, and then he'd be hoping for a caution, because that would put him in the box seat. That'll give him those yellow laps to cool those tyres down, and maybe even duck in and grab another set, and he will be in the box seat.
Yeah, his race is going to be a bit dependent on a caution, I think, because everybody else is going to come in. He's going to jump a lot of people with the undercut, but his tyres are going to be very, very worn, and people will be able to drive past him like we saw in that last run. So we'll keep our eyes on the leaders now, because they're getting up to that point where they can start making that final pit stop. Don't want to pit too early. You don't want to put on those fresh tyres too soon, because that leaves you vulnerable to the end of the race. You don't want to leave it too late, because then there's a bigger gap you have to close in on. And we have seen in the past, that doesn't always work out.
Definitely. And it looks like, mate, we've just lost Andy Barber. Andy Barber has just disappeared from my screen.
Okay, looks like maybe it was another dreaded connection issue for Andy Barber. No, he's coming to pit lane, and looks like he may have just taken that one behind the wall. So the lead of the race is now down to just under a second as we're 3 wide. As Shane Bowen just gets a little clip on the wall as Daniel Hedershide just goes underneath, battling with Jason Martin at the moment. It's a fight for 5th and 6th as Jason Martin's just lost a little bit of pace in the long run. Those Natari cars look very strong in their long run pace, you got to say.
Yeah, it definitely has. That's an impressive drive from Daniel Hedershide. Get back up into 5th place after that nice little inside wall rub. And he's definitely closing in on Pearson too. So, sorry, not Pearson, Dyson.
Yeah, he's about a 10th quicker over his laps, but there is quite a lot of traffic at the moment on track. So a few of those are going to be traffic dependent. Barry Neal coming into pit lane now as well. So he's decided to pull the pin and bring that one in. But you can see here Daniel Hedershide just going down the inside of Stevie Dubb, and these Natari cars are looking very switched on in their long run pace. So that is something that is really, really helping them out at the moment.
I don't know if we know the big news. Ed standing aside for a couple of months with some things that he needs to do in personal life and some study. I'm just wondering if should this be get closer up the front between Stent and Foster, whether Stent stands aside and let Foster has the win to secure him a playoff berth, or whether they just stay true to what they've done in the past and really have a good go at each other.
Well, I wasn't going to bring that one up, Mark, so I didn't want to bring out the curse for it. But yeah, absolutely. Because we do see on the front of Toby Stent's car, it has the Fangs head on it, of course. Yeah, it could be an interesting little run to the flag with these two. You've got to say, though, Foster's had some good long run pace. I reckon these two will race each other, though. I just get the feeling there's going to be a bit of a race between the teammates. They might not race absolutely to the wire, but they will be racing. As Neil Pearson's just dropped off a huge amount of time. What's happened to the 62? He's had a bit of a moment coming off of turn number 4. Back end steps out on him coming onto the straight, well, onto the quad oval section, and he's just dropped 2 positions, falling back towards Jason Martin. Daniel Hedershide's managed to make the move on him there and got a lot closer to Andrew Dyson while that was happening. So that gap has closed an enormous amount for P3.
I don't know if people can pick it up, but on that, where you see that right-hand side, I do believe that has got some scrapes down the right side of that car, or that 62 car. So you may have ended up touching the wall also there, Carl.
Yeah, he did have a bit of a scrape as he was saving that car on the back straight, as Dyson gets a little bit tight coming off the 4 as well. And this has given Daniel Hedershide the runners, same as Jason Martin. Both the DPR cars got tight off of turns 3 and 4. Both Jason Martin and Daniel Hedershide are making the move. Meanwhile, Edward Foster has decided it's time to pull it into pit lane. He has come in to pit lane and chucking some fresh tyres on. Meanwhile, Toby Stent's coming in. Little bit of an awkward entry. That's going to cost him time here for pit entry. So this could be a battle now. Back on track. Daniel Hedershide is going to jump into the lead of the race now with Andrew Dyson, Jason Martin. So we'll keep a bit of an eye on where Foster comes out and where Toby Stent comes out, because this is going to be a big race off of pit lane. Neil Pearson as well. He has decided to pull the pin, bring it into pit lane. Foster just getting back onto the racetrack now. Toby Stent in his box, and he's just getting up on the left side, and he's about to let it through. So who is going to be leading the battle between Foster and Stent? And I think it might be Foster by a gnat's hair. as they're coming through the corner now. Stent's trying to get up to speed, and Foster on those fresher tyres. And that little mistake coming into pit entry for Toby Stent has cost him a big amount of time as Foster flies through up into the position ahead of Toby Stent. They're not the leader of the race, of course. Daniel Hederscheid now pulling the pin coming into pit lane. Andrew Dyson going to be leading the race just ahead of Ruben Phelps, Lachlan Urquio, Joshua Carroll-Walden, Maddie Ray. Those are the drivers that haven't yet stopped. As Foster is flying up behind Andrew Dyson and wanting to get back on the lead lap just in case something happens here. Foster is very, very quickly approaching this car. He's going to fly down the inside of Dyson, gets his way through and gets himself onto the lead lap just in case that caution flag were to fly. He's secured himself in that spot. Dyson keeping it out another lap. Dyson in the lead at the moment, 44 laps to go. Andrew Dyson's going to have some nice fresh tyres to the end of this race. This could be his opportunity and what he's looking for, but we have seen those DPR cars not quite have the pace of the Atari cars in the long run.
They're definitely not happy over the long run. The short run, they come out and they can really blitz the field, but once they get to about 15 laps, you can see them really drop off tonight. So obviously, whatever the adjustments they've made, it hasn't been the right adjustment for them tonight.
Dyson in pit lane now. I want to hit those marks perfectly. This is going to leave JCW in the lead of the race. He's going to pick up a bonus point here. He's got Matty Ray just behind him. So Joshua Carroll-Walden, the new leader of tonight's race, taking first time in a while actually I've seen JCW up there leading one of the cup races. So it'll be a welcome bonus point coming into his pocket, and he's going to come in a little bit later, get those fresh tyres for the final 40 or so laps of the race here. Matty Ray, I think, is going to be coming in as well. So it's going to be Foster back up into the lead of the race once those two come down pit lane. And Foster works his way past. He's got a little bit of a gap over Toby Stent. Not by much, about half a second between those cars, and that's going to be the battle for the lead. Ryan Jones, he's sitting in third position at the moment. He's on those slightly older tyres by about 10 laps. So 10 to 12 laps over some people. So he's going to be not quite as fast as those guys on the fresh boots. Neil Pearson, he's going to slot out into fourth position. Jason Martin just behind him. So Neil Pearson had a fairly good stop there and managed to get himself up ahead of a couple of people. So solid run there from Neil Pearson. And Jason Martin there is going to be chugging along on some slightly fresher tyres. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead of the race is going to start heating up as Foster has got Toby Stent in his mirrors. He can see the Mobil 1 Atari car all over the back of him at the moment. It's Atari on Atari action here. Foster versus Stent. And got to say, Stent looks to have a little bit more pace in the car. Is Foster just letting those tyres bed in a little bit slower, just so he's got better pace towards the end of the race? We've seen that a couple of times from Foster. He's not quite had the early pace, but later on he's got it. Toby Stent making the move there and getting back into the lead of the race. 40 laps to go here.
Yeah, just 40 laps now, and as you said, it's going to the last 20 laps. I think is going to be really interesting, or even down to the last 10 laps. I think Foster's going to have the run and the car under him to really challenge Toby for the lead.
That's it. It's we've seen Foster's had some really good long run pace, and he might be taking advantage of that one again. He's just going to sit there and let those tyres get up to temperature and then see what he can do there. So it's Toby Stent in the lead of the race once more, just ahead of his teammate Edward Foster in P2. Got Ryan Jones currently sitting in P3 on some slightly older tyres. He's going to be hoping that a caution might come out in the near future, just getting back onto the same strategy as everybody else. Neil Pearson's currently sitting in fourth for DPR. He's managed to slot that car back up there, had a really good stop, and just got jumping ahead of a fair few people. Just ahead of Jason Martin at the moment in P5. First time we've seen him in a cup car for a bit of time. He's battling with Daniel Hederscheid, who's got some good pace in that Atari entry. He's closing the gap on Martin at the moment, seeing what he can do in this battle for 5th and 6th. Andrew Dyson currently sitting in 7th as caution flag flies.
Oh, Christopher Tomlin looks like involved there. Looks like he's been into the outside wall. There's heavy damage on that right front.
What did we say about pit stops, Mark? They're the
Yeah.
most likely time for a caution flag to fly.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
And what's happened here is, well, once we see the replay, he's had a big tank slapper coming off of pit road. And the back of the car has stepped out and he's had a big old whack, and I think that might be his night done, as the right front wheel is almost completely ripped off of that thing. So just watching the car come round, and watch it here. He puts his foot down, back end's going to step out as soon as he's on the flat here on the exit, and this is what you've got to be careful of on those cold tyres. Steps out, tank slapper, spears him up into the wall. The right front wheel is absolutely buggered. So everybody coming into pit lane, getting some fresh boots, I imagine, for this next little stint. Everybody's going to be back on equal footings
on the jacks.
Yeah, it's all going to be tyres, but who's going to risk it by taking two? Who is going to see what they can do with all four? We will soon find out.
And Stent has beaten Foster off pit road, so Stent will retain the race lead.
Looking like everybody has taken 4 sets of tyres. Ruben Phelps rolling the dice a little bit and sticking it out. I wonder if he's going to pop it down pit lane next time around, because he's done about 8 laps on those tyres, so he might be just willing to take the risk here. But there's going to be a few cars getting the wave around as well, I think. So it's taking a few moments for this caution just to settle itself down. This is exactly what Ryan Jones wanted, though.
Yeah, definitely. And just trying to see who's in the front there behind the pace car.
So you've got a lot of cars a lap down, and I think it's Jamie Nankervis that's the first of those cars, with Norman Clark, Riley Curtis, Brenton Henderson, Shane Bowen, Stevie Dubb, Adam Malone, and Brad Fenley. They're all going to get the wave around here.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be a few cars get the wave around because they stayed out.
Yeah, so save them losing a lap here. So this is going to put about 21 cars back onto the lead lap of this race.
Yeah, Brad Fenley's going to be the first car that's going to stay a lap down.
Yeah, well, yes, so he'll be 1 lap down after this one, but saves him from being 2 laps down, so that's some good news. And he'll be the first of the cars a lap down, just in case there's another caution. What do we see after cautions, Mark?
Normally another caution, Carl.
Yeah. The old adage, cautions breeding cautions, and we could well see that one. We've got 35 laps remaining here. What was looking to be a fairly, it's fairly set in stone. We sort of knew what was going to happen. Now has had everything shaken up. We know that the Atari cars have got some good long run pace, but we know the DPR cars have got good short run pace. And, well, 35 laps is about that short run, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of sort of think that they're dropping off a little bit quicker. I reckon we may see a 4-way battle, but then again, we can't count out Jones because he's been quick on those fresh tyres. So if he can get out and get a good lead, we may see maybe a 6-car battle, because can't forget that the 21 of Jason Martin's in there too.
Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of fast cars. We've got to say, the top 8 cars at the moment are all very fast. The top 10 as well, all sort of previous race winners. We've got a huge amount of talent here. Well, top 11 former Cup winners. There's a huge amount of talent in this top 10. Ruben Phelps is in the unenviable spot, though. He's on older tyres, so he's in a little bit of an awkward spot at the moment. So he's got to just nail this restart and see what he can do. He's probably banking on maybe another caution or two, just to take advantage of some fresh tyres in the near future. So it's going to be an interesting run here. got a lot of cars on fresh tyres. So everybody from Maddie Ray to Toby Stent. So all of those cars on fresh boots. Then you have Norman Clark, Riley Curtis, Brenton Henderson, Shane Bowen, Stevie Dubb, Adam Malone, all on old tyres. Ruben Phelps on 8-lap old tyres, 10-lap old tyres. So it's a big mixture of different tyres out there now. So those guys that have just made their pit stop are going to be slightly cooler tyres as well. So all this tyre talk, but we're going to get racing now. That's the important thing. Pace car is about to pull in. It's going to be Ruben Phelps leading away in the 06 Mobile Breaker Mechanical SRM car. He's in the restart zone. He gets his foot down, gets a nice start there, gets away very nicely on those pre-warmed tyres. We've seen this in the past with this car. If you've got some slightly warmer tyres, you can get a good first couple of laps after the caution, after the restart. Those cold tyres tend to be a little bit awkward on this first restart. Toby Stent gets a good run. It's Foster and Ryan Jones into Foster. A huge accident in the background, and the caution's going to come out. A huge wreck down the back straight. Big accident down there, and that's taken out an awful lot of cars. Edward Foster and Ryan Jones making contact with each other as looks like maybe Ryan got a little bit squirrely off the exit of the corner.
Yeah. You can see there it really started to wave the tail, and Foster just had nowhere. He was an innocent party there and got collected. You can see it there start to come down. He comes down into the side. Door slams Foster. Foster's just a passenger. Straight down into the inside. And you can see there he's locked up. Matty Ray, nowhere to go. Tristan Koch, nowhere to go. And we
Dave
can see
Douglas as
Dave
well,
Douglas
and Shane Bowen. A lot of cars being caught up in that one. Nigel Patton as well. A huge amount of damage to a lot of those cars. Riley Curtis. That's taken out a big lot of cars.
Jamie Nankervis in there. Shane Bowen, who you said. So, unfortunately for Jamie too, he had nowhere to go.
Big accident, and that is a huge shame. That's not how the 53 would have wanted his night to end on, which is going to be possibly final cup race of this year for Foster, as he's got some real life commitments creeping up. And shame to see that car out after having a very solid run through the race. But that is NASCAR racing, unfortunately. All it takes is being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then boom.
Just seen there, that's both the Black Arrows cars out of Nankervis and Clark.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of damaged vehicles out there. As I'm just spying down in the care centre, the 53 of Foster is actually down there, so we'll just bring him up quickly. Ed Foster, do you make a copy?
I do, yeah.
Well, not how we'd want to see you in the booth tonight, mate. Big moment there on that restart, and we saw really nowhere to go in that one.
It wasn't a case of nowhere to go. I got hit in the side. So, you're racing side by side with him, guys, and he just pulled down off the wall and got me. So I'm sure he didn't mean to do it, but, it's probably a bit early in the night for that. I mean, I understand we're coming to the closing stages and everything like that, but I mean, look, I don't want to have a go at him, man, because I know he's put in a lot of effort with the way he races and stuff like that, and he's really, a lot better to race with now. Like, he's learned an awful lot, and he's put a lot of work into it, so I don't want to crap on him. I'm just disappointed, that's all. So it's just the way it is.
No, understandable. Look, I mean, no commiseration, of course, but it looked like the cars had some good pace, and you guys had some very solid long-run pace tonight.
Yeah, the cars were real good. So, we put in a bit of work, just trying to sort of understand a little bit more over the last few weeks. And I think over the last few races, we've actually been fairly good in terms of pace. I mean, things just haven't quite played into our hands. It's... I think we're just starting to figure this car out now. I think that, we probably took a little bit longer than we probably wanted to. And as a result, all the boys at the front, Daiso Pearson, etc., have had things all their own way. But we're starting to get a handle on it now, and I kind of feel as though we We got a handle on it, and the other Natari boys should be pretty strong going forward, I think. It's just a shame that it's sort of taken it to now where I've got to go for us to sort of get a real handle on it and everything. But yeah, I definitely feel that's one that got away tonight. So yeah, it hurts a bit, but yeah, it'll be okay. It'll be all right. 20 minutes, I would have forgotten all about it, so it's okay.
Absolutely. I'm sure once you have a bit of a look at the replay, things like that, and you know,
I don't want to watch the replay, mate. I don't want to watch the replay.
Get a quick drink down your throat. It will be easily forgotten. Hopefully, one of the teammates can give you something to celebrate tonight. Look, from everyone here, Ed, big thank you for all the work you've done over the last few seasons as well. And it's not goodbye, but it's see you in a little bit of time, obviously.
Yeah, smell you later. no, just yeah. So I won't be around in the cup for the rest of the year. I'll try and get out. I mean, I don't know what my availability is going to be. As far as like the rest of them, I know I won't be around Mondays or Thursdays. I might be able to jump in for a quick Wednesday race or something, and hopefully I'll still be around on the weekends or something and have a bit of a run because I don't reckon I could handle going cold turkey. But yeah, the cup's been really fun. I put a lot of, I guess, my focus on the cup, and I've really enjoyed it. And yeah, just thanks everyone for turning out tonight, and I guess everyone that I've raced in there with over the years. And if I get a chance to get back, I will. But if I don't, then yeah, fantastic. I hope everyone else continues to enjoy it because it's something that I've been involved in creating. I'm really proud of.
Absolutely. Look, big thank you from all of us here. And look, as I said, we will see you again. It's not completely goodbye, but good luck with the upcoming studies and the work you're going to be doing. And well, we will see you again at some stage soon, Ed.
Thanks a lot, mate. Catch you.
Eddie Foster there for Natari. And look, not the night he would have wanted for sure, but we're about to go back to green flag racing here. Ruben Phelps is going to be leading us off once again. Toby Stent up on the high side. It's Pearson and Martin just behind them. And we're about to go for green flag racing here. Again, a nice start from Phelps. Not quite as big a jump this time round. Neil Pearson got a little bit more temperature in those tyres. He's able to put a bit more pressure on Phelps as well. Obviously, quite a big difference in tyres as well. Ruben Phelps is about 16 laps on these. Neil Pearson about 8, and he's going to get a big run off the corner here. Down the inside goes Neil Pearson. Toby Stent following him into turn 3 and 4. Phelps is trying to battle with the car down there. Wide racing as well. Some big racing going on here as we are getting down. 20 laps remaining here for round number 14 of the ANZCAR Cup here at Charlotte. And Neil Pearson can't quite make it work this time round, but now he's making the run on Phelps again. Down the inside goes Pearson. And, well, this could be what the doctor ordered for DPR because they don't have many laps to go. And we've seen how good they are on the shorter run pace.
Yeah, definitely not the best start from Ruben. He would have liked to have kept with that first start that he got. But we're further back while we were watching these guys at the front. We were three wide, and at one point it looked like we were even 4 wide here at Charlotte. So some intense racing further back for the minors.
Yeah, people are starting to get switched on that there's not long in this race to go, and they're pushing hard. Ruben Phelps doing a great job in these early stages. He's obviously cooled those tyres down. He's got some great pace in the DPR entry, and he's keeping right on the back of Pearson at the moment. Toby Stent has really got to start thinking about trying to get away past. And Daniel Hederscheid, the wounded warrior out there with that left front damage, he's keeping some good pace. Lachlan Upgo all the way back up here as well. We saw him in the wars a little bit earlier on. He's got Dyson right behind him. So a big switch of cars up in our top 10 now. We're keeping our eyes on this front 3 as it's absolutely nose to tail through 3 and 4. Some big racing going on here, and they are racing hard. Pearson just gets a little bit loose off of turn 4 again, and that's checked up Phelps a little bit. That's given Stent an opportunity to run down the inside now. He's getting a good run on Phelps here, side by side through 2 and 3 at the moment. Who's going to get the better run off the corner? It should be Phelps getting slightly better run off the high side. He does indeed. Doesn't have the room to drop it down at the moment. Stent still keeping that inside line working. So close to each other. Absolutely door-to-door action for the battle for P2. Phelps is fighting valiantly, but looks like Stent has got a little bit more pace on those slightly fresher tyres.
Yeah, it definitely is. But what Stent's got to be careful of is he can't battle down there too long. He can't hold it. He needs to get back up into that mid-track groove to give those tyres some rest. And you can see there, Phelps is definitely holding him down there and fighting hard on the outside. Where is Hedershide going to go? Is he going to abandon his teammate? No, he drops back down behind his teammate. So maybe with the two of them there, they may be able to get the job done. You can see that Stent is definitely using the touch. Oh.
Oh, that was close to a big moment. Stent just saving the car there. It looks a little bit net Cody, in all honesty, from my view. There was a bit of gap between those two cars, and it just sent Stent a little bit sideways. But they're going to have to take a little bit of a deep breath. This has put Andrew Dyson up into the line now. Dyson is battling his way up there. He's got Daniel Hedershide down the inside. These two fighting it out once again, side by side, through turns 1 and 2. Really battling
get a touch.
And, a little bit of a touch this time. Daniel Hedershide does not find the inside wall, luckily. We've seen that before in this race, but luckily he just saved it, did not clip the wall. We'll see that replay just now. So, again, I don't know if there was full contact or if it was just a little bit of netcode related contact, because they didn't seem to be touching from my view, but they just had that little bit of sidewash on them, and that pushed them through. Now Toby Stent has managed to get up past Ruben Phelps, so Stent has moved himself up into P2. He's got Dyson all over the back of him. Phelps is starting to drop off a little bit now. I wonder if those tyres are just starting to get into that mode where they're just falling off the cliff a little bit. Pearson is still just ever so holding onto that car through 4. Every time I look at it, it's just looking like it wants to step sideways, and he's just able to keep the car pointing in the right direction.
It's definitely getting a little bit loose in the rear end coming off 4. As you said, it's very skatey there at the moment. But Stent's definitely working hard to get back up to the onto the rear bumper of that car.
Well, we're getting into that point about 20 laps in. We've seen it before between the Atari and the DPR. The DPR just tends to drop off a little bit 20 laps into the stint. Then Atari starts to switch on a little bit, and we're seeing that once again. The short run pace of the DPR is very strong. Long run pace of the Atari very strong. So we're seeing that battle starting to unfold a little bit further down at the pack. There's a good battle going on between JCW and Luke Trahair. Those two side by side, really racing hard at the moment. The two blue cars battling it out. Trahair just made the pounce on Carol Walden. Carol Walden just did the up and under. Managed to get himself back on the inside and getting a run there. Jason Martin looking to work his way up there. Jason Martin just falling off a few positions in pit lane. But now the speed's coming up. Of course, he did get a little bit caught up in that accident as well. I think he made it through relatively clean, but I had dropped off a few spots in that one.
Stent's definitely taking the challenge here. He's got the inside line, and he's definitely got a good run through that last set of corners. But coming out turn 4, he's got to drop back in behind Pearson.
He's in a bit of a DPR sandwich at the moment. Stent is the sandwich filler, you could say, between the DPR loaves of bread, because he's got Dyson all over the back of it. It just takes one little mistake and Dyson's going to be pouncing on you. But if Pearson makes one little mistake, Stent's going to be pouncing on him as Lachlan Urquio now makes one on Ruben Phelps. Urquio now working his way up the pack nicely. Positioning himself for the run of this race as Dyson just clips the wall on the exit of 4 there. Just gentle slide, no damage, but got to be careful of that one. Stent all over the back of Pearson. We saw fireworks earlier in the night between these two. They were absolutely door banging with each other. Are we going to see a repeat of that in the last 15 laps, Mark?
I think so. Look, I think Stent's trying to set him up. I think the old classic, you never go to the outside in turn 4. And I reckon that's where Stent's going to try and go. He's going to work, keep him going down the bottom. And as you can see here, he goes a little bit wide, showing him the nose and showing him that he is game to run up there.
And now Daniel Hedershide's making a move on Andrew Dyson. He's trying to get under the inside, trying to get down the inside of 1 and 2. Doesn't quite make it that time. But Stent has got a little bit of a support now behind him in that of Daniel Hedershide. He needs that little bit of just to break Dyson off the back of him so he can start attacking Pearson. 14 laps to go here. It is edge of your seat stuff. Apologies to the cars battling it down further in the pack, but the front is really where we've got to keep our eyes on the action at the moment. They are seriously going for it. Neil Pearson's just managing to lead a little bit here. He's pulling out a tiny bit of a gap as Dyson and Daniel Hedersheim now are battling it out.
Yeah, but we've seen this earlier on too, where Pearson's been able to get a gap, and only 3 or 4 laps later, the Tari boys have started to close up. There's still enough laps left. There's 14 to go, sorry. So there's still definitely enough laps to go for Stent to really take it to Pearson.
Yeah, still plenty of time in this race, and well, anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does. As a bit further down the field, Ruben Phelps is being attacked by Joshua Carroll-Walden, and he's making his move up the field. We've seen JCW having a flyer tonight, and don't forget, he's another one of those Natari cars. He's up 21 positions so far. Make that 21 positions now, and he is trying to close to the back of Lachlan Urquio. So Natari really switched on here this evening. Andrew Dyson, though, he's made the move on Hedersheim. Dyson moves up into P3 now. We've seen Dyson sometimes struggling in the early stages with these tyres and then switching on later on. He's starting to get there, but Daniel Hedersheim's not giving it up as he's got down the inside of 3 and 4. The 0-3-5 now making the move as they get onto the quad oval side by side, door to door, rubbing off paint with each other. Both of those cars have got a couple of extra stars on the side as they've swapped them with each other.
And Hedersheim. Oh!
We're going to see a caution. Hedersheim, and this is going to bring out the caution flag.
How much damage has that done to Dyson's car? Will we see these two being able to restart?
Yeah, I think. Oh. Daniel Hedersheim got very, very close to having a big accident there. I think it was Adam Malone, just a little bit unsighted. Both of those cars sort of look like they got relatively unscathed. It wasn't huge amounts of damage to them. So they sort of got away. They could have been a lot worse for them. Watch the cars coming up, the closing speeds here as Hedersheim's put on the brakes. Watch the green and white car there of Adam Malone. Just squeezes it through. That was almost a huge, huge smash. And, well...
Everyone's in the pit lane.
Yes, I don't think anybody is going to risk sitting out there on old tyres now. They're all going to come in for a fresh set of boots for the end of this race. You might as well get some fresh tyres on because I think they've all got at least one set left as well. I think. So they've got that just in case there's a green-white checker. So everybody's going to be strapping on a fresh set of boots here for this, this 6 or so lap run to the end. And I think everybody's decided to go for all 4 sets of tyres as well. Nobody risking it with rights and lefts. So all of them swapping on 4 sets of boots and getting back out on the track. No real changes, no real big changes through the top 10 other than Daniel Hedersheim, who we saw was really in the wrong direction. Andrew Dyson, he is still up in P3, of course, because when the caution comes out, he's got fairly lucky with that one, with the 41.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting restart because it's going to put the 2 DPR cars behind each other. And on the outside line, you're going to have a Natari car and SRM.
Okay, so just seeing up in the chat, Edwin Foster just mentioning, just before that incident happened, just letting us know what was happening, and then that's thrown it all completely away. But just saying that Toby's got some good short run pace. It was going to be close between those two, but we have seen just in that opening salvo, the DPR just has that little bit of extra run, and that might be crucial right here. But we've seen those two racing very hard with each other as well, and there's 2 DPR cars up there. That gives them a little bit more to play with. Of course, you've got a little bit of teammate support. You just can go, okay, don't have to worry about this guy. I can just concentrate on what I'm doing. We know Neil Pearson is very focused. He knows how to win a race. So does Andrew Dyson. So does Toby Stead. He might be newer to the series, but he has been having some great races in that car. And, well, he's absolutely come onto the ANZCAR scene with a storm. Could we see a bit of a surprise pulled out? We've seen that in the past. You've got Lachlan Oakwood, Joshua Carroll-Walden up there. Ruben Phelps is now on some fresh boots. We've not seen his pace. Remember, when that restart came out, he was on some old tyres by about 10 or so laps. So now he's got the great equaler. Barry Neal, Luke Traher up there. Jason Martin, he's down in 9th position. But we know what Jason Martin can do.
Yeah, definitely. Look, anyone in that top 10 is in with a chance for this race. Sentimental favourite, I would like to see Norman Clark, who's sitting down in 10th, come through and have a win tonight.
Would be lovely. I mean, there's not many panels left on that car that's undamaged, unfortunately. So it's a little bit wrecked. It's a little bit wobbly, a little bit crinkled. So it would be nice to see the 09 flying up there, the Black Arrows car. But you got to say, he's one of those walking wounded at the moment. Quite a lot of damaged cars out there after that big accident we saw that brought out the caution a few laps ago. But there's still a fair few fairly clean, fairly straight-looking cars up there. This is going to be exciting.
Definitely is. Look, Jason Martin's still there in a good spot. Wouldn't count him out. Wouldn't count out another caution either. Not because there's any malice in it, but because of how hard that Stent and Pearson's are running with each other. As you said, Carl, we've seen them touch doors and have rub each other earlier in the race, and they've both still out here racing and racing hard.
Yeah, we know that the aggression level gets turned all the way up to 11 in these final stages, and when there's a late race restart, it's not uncommon to see a green-white checker come out. So this is going to be a tasty, juicy restart here. Pace car about to pull in. There's going to be 6 laps to go. It's going to be a 6-lap shootout here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's round number 14 of the 2023 ANZCAR Cup season here on Performance E-Streaming. I'm as ever Mr. Carl Wilkes. We've got Mark Johansson and Matt Hunter up here in the booth, and we're about to go back for this run to the flag. Neil Pearson going to be leading away. When does he drop the throttle? Waiting, and he goes. Puts his foot down. Toby Stent gets loose on the restart. A big wobble for him. That's going to give Dyson an opportunity to get a little bit of a run here. Stent's got some good pace still, but Dyson's got down the inside. Look, Lenovo looking to take his chances away. Drops down to the inside line, seeing if he can make a run on Toby Stent. Stent dropping down low now to cover him off. It's Dyson moving up into P3.
Oh,
There's a big wreck behind, and the caution flag is about to fly. Surely Toby Stent trying to get his way back up into P2, but doesn't quite make it there in time, I think, as the caution flag flies.
Yeah, we've seen that outside line. Toby really get loose on that restart. He put his foot down and went nowhere.
So, what's happened here? Let's have a bit of a look-see. So, Dave Douglas gets a big old tank slapper, slides it up into the wall, bounces off, and that's caused a big check-up behind, and that's caused the actual caution flag to fly. It's a secondary incident, I think. Because Brad Fenley's done exactly the same thing as Dave Douglas. The back end of his car, the VB car, has stepped out. It's had a big old slide, tried to catch it, and then unfortunately flown up onto the track and hit the back of the number 11. Alcohol and greens do not go together, and we can see that right there as Brad Fenley and Ryan Jones make contact with each other, and that brings us the caution flag once more.
Now, the boots are on the other foot here for this restart, Carl. We got 2 DPR cars on the front, then we got Natari SRM, and I think it will be
the Atari and 2 SRM cars. Luke Traher is the solo BMX bandit out there, just sitting there in the 6th position. He's sitting there, Joshua Carroll-Walden, another Natari car. So a couple of teams up there at the moment. We've got Barry Neal in 8th position, Jason Martin 9th, and Stevie Dubbs sitting in 10th position. Somehow Stevie Dubbs managed to get himself back up into the top 10 after a very eventful race. He's sort of had a couple of big moments so far tonight.
Yeah, definitely. But I think we may end up going green-white checker tonight in overtime.
Yeah, we're going to be close to seeing that one. I'm just waiting for the notification to pop up just to let me know if that is going to be a green white checker or not. We've got 3 laps remaining, so I'd pretty much say it's going to be. But we'll see exactly what happens. So this is going to be pretty interesting restart here. And it's going to be an eventful last couple of laps. And well, we've got a couple of moments, so we'll just quickly bring up the race for the gold that is coming up on July the 1st. If you're interested in having a bit of a fun race, a bit of an endurance race in the TCR cars around Suzuka, please head on over and check out the race for the gold being hosted by Brett Campbell. It's the Golden Octopus Foundation 1000. A fantastic cause. Fantastic charity, fantastic cause, a fantastic race it should be as well. I had a bit of a drive around Suzuka in all of these cars and they've all been an absolute blast. So if you fancy having a bit of a different race, if you fancy getting out there on the twisty stuff around Suzuka, then please head on over to the Race for the Gold, register your interests, and we hope we can see you there.
Yeah, I've even been out in the 86 and had a spin around it, and I can get around that track. So it's definitely going to be a fun race.
That must be a rare sight, seeing you on a course that has multiple corners. I mean, I think that's you're more likely to see, a Yeti or something, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I have been out there, and I tell you what, if I wasn't broadcasting it, I'd be out there racing it.
Absolutely. Look, it's definitely looking to be a really fun event, and as I said, we've had a bit of a blast in all of those cars, and we've seen some really good racing. Just in our little practice sessions that we've been hosting. Even I've been out there and having fun, and that tells you how easy it is. If I can actually drive the track, let alone Mark, crikey, if two of us broadcast jockeys can actually drive a car around Suzuka, then it must be a good place.
I think we should just have a broadcast race by itself. Everyone that throughout the sim world community in Australia come along, and we'll organise a broadcasters race.
See who is the fastest commentator, not just the fastest talker, but the fastest on track. Not going to be a really hard race, is it?
No, definitely not. No, but look, in all seriousness, if you can get along, support this foundation. It's for kids with cancer, and it is a really, really good cause.
So this is absolutely, it is a fantastic cause, a fantastic charity, and one close to Brett Campbell's heart as well. So that's why we love to be promoting that one. So it's going to be a green-white checker here. That means that we are going to have a green flag show. The next flag will be the end of the race. If we see a caution, race is over. If we see the white flag, we will be going to the checker, and of course, if we get to the checker, it's going to be race over. So only a short few laps to go, not far here. After 200 odd laps around Charlotte, it comes to this, a final sprint to the end, a last minute dash of trying to do maths in my head there, that's not going to work, about 9 odd kilometers. It's not far at all. It is very much getting close to it. And we are going to be seeing a really fun race here. It's going to be Neil Pearson and Andrew Dyson leading away. DPR front and centre. Lachlan Acquio with Toby Stent just behind them. Ruben Phelps, Luke Trahair, Joshua Carroll, Barry Neal, Stevie Dubb, and Jason Martin. That's our top 10. Pace car is about to peel in. When is the 62 going to put its foot down in the restart zone as we are going back to green flag racing here tonight? Waiting till the end, and Neil Pearson gets away. Much better restart for Stent that time. He gets down, he gets his foot on the floor. He's got underneath Andrew Dyson here. He's going to try his best to get up there. 1.8 laps to go. We are very much getting to the end. Toby Stent manages to get up into P2 here. A much better restart for him. Can he get up there to Neil Pearson? Can everybody get around without bringing out the dreaded yellow? Toby Stent goes down the inside, makes a big run, gets sideways, gets loose. That's going to give Andrew Dyson the chance here to get through. Making a little bit of an error from Toby Stent. He went for the big run on Neil Pearson a bit too quickly. That sent the rear of the car loose. white flag is out. It's Neil Pearson in the lead. The battle is for P2 at the moment between Dyson and Stent. Side by side. Stent on the high side. This should give him a better run off the corner. He just needs to get purchased. He clips the wall. That's going to give Dyson a slight opportunity. Maybe just slow the car down a little bit. We're coming through the final corner. Who's going to make it? Contact in the rear between Luke Trahere and Barry Neal, but it's Neil Pearson who looks like he's going to take the win, with Andrew Dyson coming home second, Toby Stent bringing it home third, Lachlan Okpio fourth, and Ruben Phelps fifth.
Another great race end. Some great racing. Definitely have to. Stent just had to have a go there. You'd never know if he never had a dig at it.
That's it. He absolutely went full send. Unfortunately, the rear of the car just stepped out on him through turn 3, and that was enough to just ruin his chances of a run. Just that little wiggle cut back his time. I'm just going back to have a little bit of a look because there was contact between Luke Trahere and I think Barry Neal coming up to the line. But other than that, everybody else got through relatively unscathed. And Neil Pearson is going to be celebrating this win in style, bagging it up and burning the tyres down, using up those fresh boots and giving us a fantastic burnout here at Charlotte.
Yeah, I've just seen Dyson head off around the road course again, so maybe he's going to try and do a lap of the road course.
It's very dark out there, so if we find him again, we'll bring him up to the booth and have a bit of a talk to him. But yeah, that was a big race to the end. So let's run through the finishing order. It's Neil Pearson taking victory here tonight in the 62. DPR was an off night tonight, but they still manage a 1-2 with Andrew Dyson in second. Toby Stage brings it home third for Natari. Unfortunately, that short run pace just wasn't there in that nick of the time. Lachlan Okpio has a fantastic run up into P4, up 19 positions, the second biggest gainer of the race behind Andrew Dyson. It's Ruben Phelps bringing it home in fifth, with that bit of a gamble staying out on those older tyres. It's worked out well, bringing him home in the top 5. Barry Neal brings it home sixth, with Jason Martin in P7. Stevie Dubb brings it home in P8 after an eventful night. Joshua Garrow-Walden, 18 positions up into P9. And Riley Curtis rounding out our top 10. Great to see Riley in a top 10 position. As we fold over the pages, Adam Malone bringing it home 11th, Daniel Hederscheid in 12th, with Norman Clark 13th, Shane Bowen in 14th, Brad Fenley 15th, Matty Ray 16th, 17th for Ryan Jones, Tristan Cochin 18th, 19th for Dave Douglas, Luke Trahere unfortunately down in 20th after just getting caught on that final lap. Christopher Tomlin brings it home in 21st position. A solid run from him, with Jamie Nankervis in 22nd, Brenton Henderson 23rd, Edward Foster 24th, Nigel Patton 25th, 26th for Barber, Mackenzie 27th, Pritchard 28th, 29th for Jordan out early doors, and we saw Phil Otto having to retire due to a little bit of medical issues. So a very eventful race here. It's always a long one, of course, here at Charlotte. It's one of the longer races we do for the nighttime broadcasts, but we had one heck of an eventful one.
Yeah, definitely. Some great action right throughout. We've seen that early caution, and then we had a short flurry of cautions towards the end, and that closed everything up for a very good race closure.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. What we love to see here for the ANZCAR Cup here on Performance E Streaming. So what we might do is bring up our third place man, Mr. Toby Stent. Toby Stent, welcome to the broadcast booth. Congratulations on P3 here tonight at Charlotte. Probably not the position you were hoping for, as you had a bit of a rocket ship out there, but a solid result nonetheless.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Some good, hard, fun racing. So that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Having good fun racing. So no, that was cool. Didn't have a short run car, had a hell of a long run car. So that last yellow, I just knew I was screwed. Like the car just didn't fire off at all. So yeah, if we ran green that last 10 laps, I reckon I probably had something for Pearson. But yeah, as soon as that late yellow came out, I just threw some extra air at the tires and just hoped. And I knew I'd only have that one shot to try and get past Pearson and to into 3, and otherwise I could see Daiso was gonna, get a run on me sort of thing. It's hard when you're battling with like 2 teammates. So as Pearson found it earlier with me and Ed, I suppose. So yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. Car was sort of its first week of sort of tuning the car to my liking rather than trying to help everyone else. And it sort of it went really good for me. I'm really happy with the car. It sort of felt really good in the long run. So it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I'm just glad that we that we ran competitively tonight. We've been trying some different stuff here and there and all that, and sort of went a bit more, went even further left field tonight, but it worked. So sort of got a direction now, so that's cool.
Well, that's what I wanted to touch on. Tonight it's been probably one of the stronger races for us. I know we've seen you win a race, but it's been one of the stronger races for pace with pit stops and just tweaking the car. And as you said, you tweaked it to your liking a little bit more, and obviously that had a big effect. But the long run pace that you guys had was something stunning.
Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly it was because didn't have the tires like mad low or anything stupid like that. And actually, me and Ed were completely different on tire pressure. Couldn't be more different, and we were literally same lap times for lap after lap, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. It kind of just worked out. So I like Charlotte, and yeah, it's just a bit disappointing, right? To not have the short run pace and lose out after being so fast. But it's all good, man. We just having fun. So it's good fun when you get to race really hard and bang into people and, have come out the other side and have a good time and get to have a laugh about it after. That's what it's all about. So, as disappointing as it is, it's also awesome to get to run 200 laps and have some fun racing.
Well, that is always the main thing. If you've had a fun race, that's the most important thing. Look, congratulations tonight on a solid top 3 finish here tonight, Toby Stent. Before I let you go, though, usual thing, the shout the love out to sponsors and people in general. Take it away.
Yep. Shout out to obviously the Natari boys, AJD, Fully Flawed, Turbo Alpha Japan, and obviously a big shout out to our lovely team boss Ed, who won't be joining for the rest of the season. So I put a nice little sticker on the front to say thanks to him. Hopefully you caught it. But yeah, no, big shout out to Ed. Obviously, he helped me with a bunch of questions through last year as I was trying to get up to speed, and then he sort of invited me to come and drive with them, and it's been awesome driving with them. So he'll still be around, but he won't be running, so we'll definitely miss him in the races. But yeah, no, so big shout out to Ed and a big thank you to Ed for everything he's done for me.
Absolutely great stuff. Thank you so much, Toby. Congratulations tonight, and look, I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in the very near future, mate.
Yeah, hopefully a couple more positions further up. That'd be nice. I'm about dual, and I'm a bit dry everywhere, to be honest. I've been close, but it's good because there's been some really sick racing recently. So I'm having good fun no matter what.
Gives you hope when you have a good race like this. Hopefully that long run pace will pay off and we won't see those late cautions.
Yeah, we'll see. On to the next week, though, and we'll go again and see where we end up.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Toby Stent there for Natari.
Awesome. Cheers.
Okie dokie. Next up, it will be the biggest mover of the night, up 20 positions from his starting spot. It's Andrew Dyson in the 41. Dyson, welcome back to the booth. I said it wouldn't be long until I talk to you again. Never is. You tend to find your way up here a lot of times, but tonight it didn't look like you had quite the pace you were hoping for in the long runs.
I didn't, man. It didn't quite work out I was hoping it would, but I didn't really come to me the long run pace. So bit of I wouldn't call it a struggle, but I just didn't quite have, I think everyone had a baby edge on me pretty much, and I just didn't quite have it. So, but a couple of cautions in the end got me there. Not the coolest way to do it, but here we are anyway.
Can't complain too much at the 1-2 for the team on a bit of an off night. It's never a bad thing.
Yeah, not an off night. Like I said, it's just it just wasn't quite spot on. You know what I mean? But I'm sure everyone has their stories about how it wasn't quite right and all that, because it was really tight, and ended up throwing a lot of adjustment at the car to kind of get it to happen. I don't know if I did quite the right thing with the tires, but yeah, I'm sure everyone was. Yeah, like I said, everyone's going to have their story about what they could have done and what they should have done and whatnot. So.
No, absolutely. Well, we saw you working your way through the field in the early stages, and you're the man with the most positions going tonight. So, how tricky was passing here?
Just had to be really patient, man. And unless you had enough of an overlap, if you went to the corner side by side, and you weren't overlapped enough with somebody, you just get tight and you just drive up into them, or you just have to completely stop pretty much and just let them blaze back around the outside of you again. So You just had to wait until you had a really good run to really get far enough up alongside somebody to kind of, I wouldn't say like slide job them, but you almost kind of do. Like if you slide up the track, it's bad, but you almost have to like just dive it in there and just kind of park it and get it going again. Because if you end up side by side while you slide off the exit, and like I said, if you're not far up alongside before you get to the corner, you just get way tight like aero wash. So not the easiest to pass, but yeah, I had a bit of fun with that, that's for sure.
Absolutely, gave us some entertaining stuff to watch on the stream, which is always important. We like it when that happens. Look, congratulations tonight, Daiso. A very pretty looking car as well tonight for the Memorial Day race. But before I let you go, the usual thing, the shout, the love out to general sponsors for you will make Pearson do the hard work.
Yeah, we'll let Pearson do all that stuff. But thanks to you guys for putting on the race. Thanks for the good racing out there. There was a lot of good racing tonight. It's just a shame that Dan and I got together again because we were having a banger race there, like really close to each other and that. It's 2 races in a row now, so I think we've got to find a way to stop doing it. Maybe we need to jump in the same Discord. I've done that before with Dave. But yeah, other than that, yeah, good race with everybody. Thanks everyone for showing up, and looking forward to next week. Thanks to you guys for putting it all on as well.
No, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, Andrew Dyson, for DPR. And finally tonight, we're going to bring up our race winner, the Red 62. The 62 is working out very well for this man. It's Neil Pearson. Neil, welcome back to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a win here at Charlotte.
Thank you very much.
Well, it didn't look like the easiest win tonight, as you did not seem to have that long run pace, but short run, you were pretty much on fire.
Yeah, short run, it was good. I couldn't get it to go on entry for a long stint without it getting too loose. And those Atari boys, they had that figured out. And yeah, I think all those cautions really gave me the win. It's a bit of a shame for them, but I'll take it.
Like it's never a bad thing when you sort of mid-race. We saw both yourself and Andrew Dyson just falling down the field a little bit. We saw you have a big moment off turn 4 as well. So a quick talk on that one.
Yeah, I just tried to just keep loosening up the car, and I just went too far. So as the runs went on, it just got worse and worse and worse. Like Ed was saying before, he was actually laughing at me, like just how loose it was. But when he was telling me this, it didn't actually feel that bad. It was later on in the run it got really bad. So it was pretty funny.
No, absolutely, and yeah, it's a couple of close moments, but it worked out well in the end. I mean, you guys, DPR have been having a solid year so far. Races where you've not been quite on pace, just like tonight, you still walk away with a 1-2. You must be very happy with that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good for us. Yeah, we didn't deserve this 1-2, but we're going to take it and celebrate it, and hopefully it fires up everyone else and come get us. I mean, Toby tried everything. I mean, that into turn 3, I think on the second last lap or whatever it was, that was really close. So it was fun.
No, we saw that. We saw some good entertaining, a little bit of door bashing between you two as well early on in the stint. In the race.
Yeah. He's given it to me, so it's good. It's good fun.
What we like to see, you got to have a bit of door banging here and there. It's what NASCAR is all about. Look, congratulations tonight, Neil. A very well driven race, and look, a very good win as well. As we said, you absolutely nailed that short run pace, and we're there at the end where it matters.
Yeah. I think that short run pace just got me over the line.
Look, congratulations. Now, before I let you go, you've got the hard job. You've got the sponsors to thank, and everybody else in general.
Yeah,
first off, ANZCAR and Ed for everything he's done. It's going to be sad not having him around now that he's actually going off to learn. It's good for him, but, bad for us. It's good having him around. You guys for the broadcast, it'll be fun to watch, I think. And we'll get the sponsors, simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Bedmax Mechanical, Phoenix Smokers, NP Designs, and just my teammates for the fun and the good times that we're having.
No, look, fantastic job tonight, Neil. Well done on a win again here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in the near future, mate.
I hope so.
Neil Pearson there for DPR getting the victory here tonight on a race that was not the easiest for them, but they again proved the worth of the teammates just getting there at the end and having that great short run pace.
Yeah, they definitely did. As Toby said, it was unfortunate in the way that those last lot of cautions came out, because I would have liked to have seen what actually would have happened. But I'm surprised that no one decided to go for 2 ties on that last stop.
Yeah, I'm sure I was half expecting somebody to take a little bit of a gamble for that one, but nobody decided it was worth it at the end, which is sometimes how a race goes. But well, tonight we're done and dusted, and that's our cup race and ANZCAR duties done for the week. But we will be back on the weekend, of course, on Saturday night. Of course, there is the Weekend Warriors over on Checkered Flag e-streaming. And that's going to be at
Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you can tell it's been a long race as my brain is just slowly switching off and all the useful brain cells have been thrown away. And
Yeah.
we also have the Australasian Supercar E Series on Sunday night, of course. If you have not yet seen the V8s thundering around on the ovals, you're in for an absolute treat. And that will be here on Performance E Streaming. And I can't remember where that one is, Matt. Vegas, thank you.
Yep.
See, this is why I need co-commentators and extra people in the booth for my terrible memory. But we will be back next week, of course, with more action in the Xfinity as well. That's going to be from Sonoma. I remember that one, oddly. And of course, with the Cup, it will be at Gateway. So some very different tracks coming up, some great action here to come on both Performance e-streaming and over on Checkered Flag e-streaming.
Don't forget the trucks on Monday night too, mate.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where we are now.
Pocono.
Oh yeah, that's why I forgot it. I saw it was at Pocono last week and went, oh well, I'm going to drink something and forget that, so I don't remember it when I log in. So not my favourite track, I must say, but we hope you can join us for all the action between ourselves and Checkered Flag e-streaming, of course. From Performance e-streaming, though, we're going to wish you a very good night. From myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson, with you, of course, Mr. Mark Johansson and Matty Hunter on the cameras. We wish you all a very good night, and we will see you back here very soon.